And welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. Good Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you can go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. But, hey, sometimes in this busy life, we miss things. We got to go back. We got to get caught up. That's why you say, man, it's a good thing those guys of the Jeff Cameron Show post the show, all 3 hours of it, every day upon the conclusion, both on iTunes and our own audio vault on the webpage. Go back. You can find it. Email us, jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter @JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. You can watch us perform our radio duties here every afternoon by going to YouTube and typing in ESPN Tallahassee. You'll find us. There we are. Hello. Waving to the camera now. Good to be with you. Man, you know, I don't want to take away from the bigger storylines of the day because there are big ones, obviously. By the way, you have a rooting interest tonight? Of course you do. We're all universally in the city of Tallahassee and the rest of the country rooting for Georgia. That's correct, right?
I think that's accurate. Yeah.
I don't have a rooting interest.
They're kind of clones, right, these two teams? It's just that one has won all the titles and one we think is going to at least be in the conversation for the next 3 or 4 seasons at minimum.
Yeah, to win one first since 1980, right? So that would be a something. Well, my dear friend Corey Clark, and you have relatives that went to Georgia and others that we know, and my dad lives in the state of Georgia and kind of likes them because he's lived there long enough now to kind of appropriate their fandom. You know how you do that when you live somewhere long enough? Oh, I like these guys. They're local. Like, there are a lot of people who graduated from somewhere other than Florida State or Florida A&M in Tallahassee that have grown to like Florida State because they've lived here for a long time. So I know how that works. And so, anyhow, we're real close to Georgia. Come on, dogs.
Well, they're the enemy of our enemy, right?
Right. I want to see, you know what I want to see? I want to see a really well-played, well-executed football game. I want to see the kind of, well, first of all, you're going to see a very physical game. There's no doubt you're going to get that. People always talk about that, but you're going to get that. And I'm excited about that. I like big-time old-school football. Really, I'm drawn into the old school football games more and more. Partly because I'm 46 and getting older, and I can I engage in that nostalgia a little bit more. But also, it harkens you back to a time where certain standards were set in football, and that's just the way that it was going to be. And sometimes now football, I think, kind of gets away from us a little bit, and we end up seeing something of a pinball game there. It's not a lot of fun. It's just a lot of catching and throwing and standing around with nobody hitting anybody and 7-on-7 looking football. You know what I'm talking about? This won't be that.
No, agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
This won't be that. This will have some nastiness to it, which I like. But yeah, that would be the big storyline. I'll get to it momentarily. We'll talk about some of the elements of that game. Of course, we had the playoffs this weekend. Congratulations, Jacksonville fans. Your team's moving on. I dare say that if Jacksonville had a quarterback of any ability whatsoever, and I guess maybe the same could be said for Buffalo because they have some similar elements, that if they had any kind of talent whatsoever at all at quarterback, they would be a real threat to come out of the AFC. I think Jacksonville, with the way that they're built, could go to the Super Bowl if they had something other than that piece of garbage at quarterback. He's terrible. Like, it's unwatchable bad watching him play. He is awful. The only person worse is Tyrod Taylor. Like, it's to watch those two losers attempt to play quarterback at that level that is requisite of them in the playoffs is really, really mind-numbingly bad.
Well, they do, though. They have Chad Henne on the bench. And listen, even yesterday at halftime, I was saying you kind of have to go to him, don't you?
Woo!
I mean, after Bortles almost throws the pick, and he can't guide the ball in the wind. So, I mean, imagine if this dude was drafted in, like, the Midwest, and he had to play somewhere where there were cold temperatures. I mean, I just can't imagine it. So to me, I thought, all right, you have a guy who has a stronger arm, and he can at least throw the ball through the wind. There are open receivers out there.
God, yes. For both teams,
right.
It was just something to behold. It's the decision-making, the inability to get the ball out on time, to throw the ball accurately, to secure any form of presence in the pocket, not looking to take off, but make a play, let something develop. anticipatory shots downfield. None of that happens with those two guys at quarter. Now, I'll grant you, for Taylor's situation, he's not very good. We've talked about this before. He's a serviceable at best quarterback on his best days. Of course, he was good enough to be the Bucs' sorry-ass defense. But, the difference is he's going against Jacksonville's defense, which is elite. Really, really good, and the best corner in the league and everything else. I mean, they're loaded, that defense. I love watching Jacksonville play defense. Love it. And so it's going to be tough sledding with a good quarterback against Jacksonville's defense. We've seen that. But for Bortles going against – come on, man. I mean, you got to be better than that. I mean, their best play was just him running around. I mean, basically, when you watch that game, all you could think of, well, whichever guy can just run around and make a few plays on broken stuff will probably win the game.
It was oddly entertaining, though. Would you admit that?
Oh, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, again, I like hard-hitting defense, and you do have that. I mean, two simultaneous things can exist here. We can have terrible quarterback play being married with elite defense. That did happen. But there are plays to be made even against the best defenses, especially in a league that promotes offense, that really makes it difficult for anybody to play truly shut-down defense. So because you know that going in, you look for those plays, and then you see two quarterbacks that simply can't make those throws. And that's frustrating. That gets a little old because I like a perfect game is one of those games where defenses, in my mind, are stout, are dominating, are making it extremely difficult to move the football. But when a good offense can be played and executed in the moment, it happens. And so what you end up getting is sort of a 20-17 type affair where defenses control a lot of the action, but you got to pick and choose your moments to make some plays and then execute. And, of course, really neither could in this football game. It was tough to watch. And then, of course, we did get an Andy Reid special in the other game. My goodness gracious, that guy's reputation is affirmed. I would also say this. And the word is that Triplett's going to retire, and that's a good thing. You really can't, if you're the NFL, abide by what we see anymore. You just can't. I mean, the kind of officiating mistakes that took place across the board this weekend to where they became the bigger story, certainly in the Kansas City-Tennessee game, it's just beyond reason. I get that there is a certain number of plays that take place at what feels like the speed of light. Whenever you get official film, we did this. We bring this up all the time just because it was a cool experience for Tom and I and anybody else that was there. But for years, Doug Rhodes would have this official seminar when you went to the ACC meetings, and you could attend those things, and they would show you film that you don't see, angles that you don't get, by which they judge their officials, right? So they can look. You've got shots of officials away from the play. You're not even really hardly following the play. You've got field level views. Remember that? You can see stuff from the end zone shot. Like almost like you're looking at coaches' film.
Yeah, it was like the B-roll that you would get from either a coach or when the university releases their own highlights.
Right,
that's
that
the
kind of thing.
The stuff you get. Yeah,
and in doing that, what they would show you sometimes is what appears to be obvious when you have just the angle that the television is giving you or one shot is not always so abundantly clear to those that are down on the field and having to make these decisions in real time. And there were always these moments where you'd say, Tom, gosh, I'm glad we got to watch that because I would have never given him the benefit of the doubt. But seeing what he saw, I can see where that would have been a difficult call, right? I get that exists, and I'm probably a little bit more reasonable. Certainly, I'm more reasonable now than I was 10 years ago about giving people leeway regarding their jobs as officials. But there are plays here, that quote-unquote forward momentum play on a sack, I've never even heard of that. Obviously, I've heard of forward momentum. But the way that was called, the whistle being blown, play stopped simultaneously to a sack, I've never seen an official blunder a play quite like that. It was almost as if it was an accidental whistle, like he feared for Mariota's health, and just blew the whistle.
What a hit, too.
Well, yeah, Johnson's coming to take his head off. I swear this is true. My guess is that he literally just blew his whistle and raised his hand almost out of fear for what was about to happen to Mariota. My man, that's old age. Like, that's the kind of crazy stuff old people do when the moment is too fast.
Yeah, but I think part of the problem, and I know this gets into the weeds of officiating again, but part of the problem is they have all-star crews in the playoffs. And a lot of...
They don't work together?
Yes, that's right. They take the best line judge, the best referee, the best back judge, the best umpire, and then they put them all on a crew together, and they rank them out. When you're needing communication to be at its peak, you probably want to work with the people you work with all year long. So if you see Jeff Triplett's crew or whoever, Ed Hockley's crew out there, it's not the crew that they work with for 16, 17 weeks.
Well, that's just dumb.
Correct.
There's too much on the line here not to make this a full-time deal all the time, same crews working together where they are simpatico and the relationship and nuance is understood, and I can look at you and you can know where I was coming from and that kind of thing. I mean, there's too much at stake in these games.
Yeah, like imagine in radio, right? They had like the all-star game for radio shows. Yeah. And so
surely we would be...
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so you're the host, and it was a down year for me, I guess. I don't know.
They yanked your ass off.
They yanked my ass out. But you get, like, Lebitard's producer, and then you get...
Mike Ryan?
Yeah, so you get Golick going with you, and then one of the guys from the Dan Patrick Show is with you or something. I mean, what is that going to sound like?
A hodgepodge of weirdness. Yeah.
Everybody trying to find their place. Like, whereas if I'm a head official, and I've worked with somebody for 16 or 17 games... out of the NFL season, I know that if I don't have the play clock down always, even though that's my job, well, Jimmy's got the play clock. That's the extra thing he does.
Jimmy's got this thing.
And his eyesight isn't so great for this part of the field, so I'll make sure if the left tackle's holding all those little nuances lead to a moment like almost happened in the last game this weekend where they almost forgot to run 10 seconds off the clock between Carolina and New Orleans.
Yeah.
They had my man on the sideline sprint on the field and say, "Don't snap the ball. 10 more seconds."
Well, I'm telling you, I watched at least 4 instances where I can say without, equivocation that they were at the forefront of officiating blunders in a way that I had never seen before. And you can't have that in the playoffs. People miss calls, and I give you a break on missed calls, and sometimes it can be very, very difficult again. But there were moments in these games where you go, man, I hate that I want to go on Monday and talk about football, but I have to lead with some of the poor officiating. Nobody wants that.
No, you're talking about spots, and you can blame New York too, the oversight, because in the last 2 minutes of the Tennessee-Kansas City game of the first half, when Kelsey gets knocked out, he fumbles the ball.
He fumbles, and everybody saw it. It's so abundantly clear.
And how, if you're Malarkey, do you not use a timeout there either? Like, as a coach, you've got to be ready in those circumstances. Carolina did that yesterday to take a timeout just to give people an extra little couple of seconds to look.
You shouldn't have to do that, right?
You shouldn't have to, but you should be ready to, and you can't let that ball get snapped. I don't care that he's knocked out.
There was the third down run with LaShawn McCoy. He stopped way short.
A yard short.
A yard and a half.
Yeah.
By the way, how do you not throw a challenge flag right there? It's right in front of your face.
Right, again,
that was bizarre.
Yeah.
Again, you had the... The Mariota sack is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I've never heard of saying of referring to a quarterback standing in the pocket getting sacked as forward progress having been stopped. That's nuts.
Never on a sack. Now, I have seen that call typically
when they're in the grasp.
When they're in the grasp and like maybe there's a fumble or a forward pass, and like, no.
Well, the 2-point conversion, you can say that.
Right. There's no intentional grounding. There's no fumble. We had already blown the whistle dead because he was in the grasp of the defender. But if you just get popped, hell no.
Well, okay, so that play is Mariota in the pocket. He puts his arm back. He's about to step into a throw when he notices an oncoming freight train in the form of Derek Johnson,
who will be stepping into him.
And he realizes there is nowhere to step in the pocket. So what he does is what we all would do, cower in fear. He realizes I'm about to get bludgeoned, and he raises his arm and then goes, oh, blank, and bam, he gets hit. It's a standard sack. It happens, especially sacks that happen from right down the middle. It's not from behind. It's not from the side. It's right where he would have had to step. So he realizes it, curls, gets hit, and somehow that's called the end of forward progress play blown dead. And because he blows it dead, Triplett blows it dead, you can't review it. So it doesn't, now it's over.
Yeah.
So the fumble that occurred and everything else that was involved in that play. But what makes it worse is this game ends as a 1-point game.
Yeah.
They go on to kick a field goal there. There were so many mistakes.
No, well,
and it doesn't give Andy Reid a pass for doing what he always does, which is get a lead and shut everything down and play scared.
Yeah, my man Alex Smith is the most unlucky quarterback of all time. They have 4 possessions in that half,
Yeah.
4 possessions. How many drops did they have in that whole game? 6, 7? And then he gets cute. I mean, I can't believe it. That first drive of the second half doomed them. That's what it was. The game was completely in command. It doesn't matter that Tennessee went down the field in 9 minutes, 22 minutes, however long that drive took.
Right.
You got 3rd and 1. And you got to 3rd and 1 how? Because Kareem Hunt ran up the middle for 9 yards. And you call a speed option? You call a speed option on 3rd and 1.
No, I know.
You, sir, deserve to lose for that call alone, just like Buffalo for allowing Tyrod Taylor even the option to throw to Kelvin Benjamin in one-on-one against Jalen Ramsey, 1st and goal at the 1. You deserve to lose for those 2 mistakes, those 2 coaches alone.
Yeah, by the way, it's really cool. Can we just bring it back home for a second and note, because it's not lost on me, that the best 2 corners in the league, hands down, are Knowles. And it's now being celebrated, of course, every weekend, or you certainly will all watch the Vikings next weekend. Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Rhodes, it's being celebrated as, hey, listen, we've turned the corner. If you're trying to identify your best 2, those are them.
Xavier Rhodes on Michael Thomas is going to be a really, really fun matchup.
I think Xavier wins that battle. I think Michael Thomas is dynamic enough. It's funny, too. Jalen is just...
Yeah, but times they're going to move Rhodes to take care again because you got to worry about the shot play. So certain downs and distances, I'll bet they'll move him. They did that when Tampa went up to Minnesota. He took Deshaun Jackson for a little bit instead of Mike Evans.
Yeah, in a weird way, I understand how physical Xavier is, so I can understand why you'd want him on Evans a lot in that game. But Evans isn't a burner, so my other corners can cover Evans and stay with him. So I get, it's interesting because my big corner, I might need him to wrestle the ball at the apex, that kind of thing, and at the same time.
Yeah, Thomas is strong.
Yeah. It'll be fun. Jacksonville's a fun team. I wish they had a quarterback because you can't win anything without a quarterback.
I think the great thing is there are Knowles all over your TV, too, this weekend. Not just about the best defensive backs in the game, which, yes, absolutely. Of course, Jalen ices it, right? And then that's just fitting for what kind of a season he's had and the emergence he's had into becoming a household name, even though he plays in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Even though, you know what I mean? Like, that's the unlikeliest of places. That in Cleveland, where you're going to be a household name. Well, he's making it happen right before our very eyes.
I'm not telling anybody, especially if you're a Jacksonville fan, something you don't already know. You guys could be a Super Bowl team. You got to get out from under that nightmare that's Blake Bortles. That guy's garbage. He should have been picked 3 times, 2 of them where the Bills can't catch the ball. But I mean, it's just nuts. And you know what? For him, he's had a good year. I mean, that you couch it, but for him, he's had a good year.
15, 20-mile-an-hour winds, and you don't know how to handle that? That's what's crazy to me, because it looked like it was so mental. The wind had him completely freaked out about how to release the football.
It's late in the year, man. This is most of the time, unless you're playing in a dome, you're going to have really inclement weather this time of year.
That's what I'm saying. Say Cincinnati drafted him, or some place that plays outdoors with wind. It was ridiculous.
It was somebody tweeted this week, and can you imagine if Jacksonville had drafted Deshaun Watson? Could have. Can you imagine if they, if there had been a way, if Jackson, I mean, they'd.
Imagine if they started Chad Henne.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go to the extreme, right? You could just take
D.D. Westbrook is good.
Just the serviceable.
I mean, he's your 2. Marquise is good, and Keelan Cole's good.
Unfortunately, I have my hand on the pulse of this Florida State basketball team all too well. That was wholly predictable what happened last night. We'll talk about it next. Knowles drop one on the road to Miami and fall to 1-2 in the ACC. That's okay because they're going to win this week and we'll be 2-2. And besides that, there's a gazillion other teams in the ACC currently sitting at 1-2. So a lot of basketball to be played, but we'll dissect what occurred yesterday evening when we come back. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Valid through 3/18/18. See store for details.
Ah, the perfect lunch spot. A nearly impossible find. Thankfully for Tallahassee, we have Metro Deli. A downtown gem for over 15 years, Metro Deli is locally owned and features the best deli meats, cheeses, breads, and ingredients in the city. Enjoy daily specials and soups, salads and wraps. There's something for everyone. Metro Deli offers online ordering for pickup or delivery and will cater your office breakfast or lunch too. Tallahassee's perfect lunch spot is Metro Deli. MetroDeliTally.com. That's MetroDeliTally.com.
If you're a small business, first impressions can make all the difference. With Grasshopper, you get all the features of a professional business phone system on your mobile phone. Choose a business phone number, make calls, and send texts. Stay connected and work from anywhere with features like Wi-Fi calling and our desktop app. Set up your account in minutes with no long-term contracts and 24/7 customer support. Make your small business big. Now get $20 off your first month when you visit grasshopper.com/radio. That's grasshopper.com/radio.
Derry's not like any town I've ever been in before.
Own the movie It on digital and Blu-ray.
My grandfather thinks this town is cursed. All the bad things that happen in this town are because of one thing. An evil thing.
A clown.
If we stick together, all of us will win.
Own the digital movie now and on Blu-ray January 9th. Rated R.
We all float down here.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
At your local CVS pharmacy, we want to make your life easier so you can focus on feeling good and saving time and money. This week only, save big on all the essentials. All vitamins are buy one, get one free. And earn $6 in extra bucks on any $10 Revlon or Almay cosmetic purchase. Restrictions apply. See circular or cvs.com/weekly ad for details. Feel good? Save money at your neighborhood CVS pharmacy.
Want better gas mileage and a longer lasting engine? Change your oil every 3 months or 3,000 miles, whichever comes first. You know that sticker on your windshield? Don't look at it now. Wait until the next red light. Okay, check the number on your sticker. Then check your odometer. Is it time? There are 19 Tallahassee area Super Lube locations, which means there's one close to you right now. No appointments, and you're in and out in no time. You can do this today. Super Lube, for better gas mileage and a longer lasting engine.
How I love to Super Lube my car. Yes, sir.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio down in Coral Gables. Didn't go well for Florida State. Kind of felt like that would happen. Miami was coming off a terrible performance against Georgia Tech, in which they got beat by a pretty bad team, 64-54. They played about as bad as they could have last Wednesday. And so I figured, stands to reason, right? Got to protect home court. Got to play better than this. And they had beaten Pitt. Pitt's not very good. Lost to Georgia Tech. Got to protect the home court. Get yourself a win. Going to come out gunning. And they did. And Florida State had just played 2 games in which you took on Duke and North Carolina. So arguably the most talented team in the country in Duke, albeit young, and you're defending national champions. And both were emotional games. You're tied at 92 on the road at Cameron with 2 minutes to play. Fall short in that game, come home, and hold on for dear life and beat North Carolina by a point. So I thought you might see a little lackluster and a little bit of sort of, going through the motions type play from Florida State early on in this game. And they gave up a ton of layups, dunks, point-blank shots early, but they were kept in this basketball game because Miami kept turning it over and in the first half. And so, you saw where, okay, got a shot to hang in there. But then Miami goes on the run at the end of the first half. What I was most proud of, Tom, what was it, 45-32 at the break? So you're getting blown out 55-39 with 16 minutes to play in the basketball game. And, we talked about them last week. One of the things we like about this team and that you can you can always bank on is they're going to compete. They're going to fight. They're going to continue to chip. They're going to work at it. They're going to play together. That the fear is there will be nights where they don't have a guy who's lighting it up, that you can trust, that you can go to. Now, through the games up to this point, they've actually had a guy get hot in a lot of games, whether that's Phil Kofer or Angola or somebody really light it up on a given day. C.J. Walker's done it a couple times where they've gotten hot. And it's cool that you don't have to have the one guy. But just as sure as they've had different people light it up, we thought, what happens on a night where you don't have a guy that can get his own shot, a guy that's going to go for 25, a guy that's going to be reliable in a pinch to get a good look. And I felt like that's kind of where they were here. And yet they continued to fight. They ratcheted up their defense. They really, really controlled the glass and began to give themselves opportunities. And that's when you see this thing get cut all the way down. At one point, 69-63. You actually got everything you wanted really, really late because you lengthened the game by fouling, calling timeouts, hit a couple of threes, Kofer's 3 at the top. Then you get it down to basically a 4-point game with a chance. You got the steal. If you hit that 3, I really believe this. You didn't need a 3A. Could have gone straight to the basket.
Right, but the flow of the steal in the moment, it makes total sense to put that up there.
He puts up the 3. It looked good when it came off his hands.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to make it. I really believe if he hits that 3, we'll never know. But if he hits that 3 and it's a 1-point game, I think Miami's in trouble. Because they were already that look of, what in the hell is going on here?
Right.
And they had missed a front end of a 1-and-1. They're not a great free throw shooting team. They had let basically a huge lead dwindle to a 2-possession game. I really think that the moment would have got to them, but you don't hit that shot, then you have to foul. And
right, yeah, no, their only hope in that moment would be if Muggsy Bogues hit another 3-pointer.
Yeah, 5'7" off the bounce is tough to deal with, and out on the perimeter we really
as tall
struggled.
as we are.
Yeah, it really, we struggled with his quickness, and got to give him credit because that's an attribute you got to make the best of when you're 5'7".
I'll be honest, when they come here later in the month, I'll be excited to watch this Likes kid and see if that was just, a one-night, kind of deal, or if this is something that we're going to have to get used to and prepare for because he is electric. It's fun to watch a little dude like that.
Yeah, it's frustrating is what it is when you're going up against it, but you're right. He's a nice player, and he's obviously able to overcome what he lacks in height with speed and agility.
And vision.
Florida State was 5 of 24 from beyond the arc. That ain't going to get it done. This is a team that likes to shoot threes. It's a team that shoots threes pretty damn well. They didn't shoot threes well in this game. And yet there they were, late with an opportunity. I had hinted at it last week. I didn't say this aspect. I didn't bring up this point just because, I wanted to show more respect to this team who's played so hard and earned it. I kind of thought, Tom, that they might get blown out in this game against Miami. It just, the recipe for that kind of a loss was there. And I don't take solace in losses unless they're to the number 1 ranked team in the country on the road at the buzzer or something like that. You can live with those kinds of things where you're playing a more talented team on the road and you come up just short. But there is an aspect of what took place yesterday that I don't know. I think it furthers my belief in what they are and where they'll be at the end of the year. You know, we got a great email. You brought it up during the break, and Tom sent us an email, and I'm going to read it right now because I thought it I think he hit the nail on the head here, talking about the kids playing really hard and coming up just short. And I don't think there's any doubt about that. I feel like when you look at what this team is and how hard they played, I can't find it now. You can read it if you'd like. I know you got it in there.
I'll forward it.
I got it right here. Sorry about that. My eyes failed me for a second. I never followed the basketball team, but my son talked to me into season tickets, and we've been to every game and are invested now. This was on its way to being a whooping, but our boys kept fighting their worst performance of the last 3 games. They're still competitive against a top 15 team on the road. Kofor and Mann seem to be off last couple of games, but Angola and CJ seem to be stepping back up the slack. That was before. Real fun team to watch. Can't wait for the Louisville game. I think that's right. They play hard. They're smart. They play together, and they'll come back home and play really well against Louisville. I believe that.
I tend to agree. I look forward to watching them from our executive suite on Wednesday night and see how we perform.
Hey now.
Yes, that's correct. But to me, you know, again, it's Miami makes, what was it, 12 of their first 13 field goals because we were just getting eviscerated in the paint. You know, easy putback attempts, or actually not too many putbacks.
A lot of blow-bys.
A lot of blow-bys and then easy dishes for either layups or dunks. Couple transition scores for Miami too.
Yep.
They hit, the 1-3 from the corner, but there weren't a whole lot of difficult shots for them as they were building their lead. And then we're just chasing, and we're chasing and chasing, but we almost get all the way there. And like you said, I don't look for moral victories, but I look for signs. Mm-hmm. You know, this isn't about the regular season. It's about, doing enough in the regular season to prove that you belong, not just to the fans, but most importantly to yourselves, that you belong in the NCAA tournament. And they took somebody's best haymakers, responded, and nearly came out with a win. Again, this is going to be a top 15, top 20 team in Miami when the rankings come out, all of them. And here we are again, proving that what we are. Look at it. We've played 4 top 25 teams so far this year. Were we out of any game? Were we the better team in how many of those games? Maybe 3? Because you could argue down the stretch against Duke. Maybe you got Cameroned a little bit with the whistles.
Yeah, you missed shots, though, too. I mean, they made shots and you missed shots.
They do, but you go score for score with Duke. And
oh, no, I'm proud of them. They're not the better team against Duke, but they played as well.
Talent. Nobody's going to argue that.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that even in defeat, this team is showing signs that they have a certain level of consistency in them and ability. Which we did not think.
A lot of what for?
Yes. Again, you hit, 20% of your threes, and you have a chance to take the lead down the stretch. Man, I'm impressed with what I see. I hope there isn't a slump to come where we have to guess whether or not we're going to make the tournament. Right now, we feel comfortably like a tournament team to me.
Hold serve. Come back home and win your home games. Florida State, as of late, knock on wood, of course, hasn't, as of late, more than a year, hasn't lost a home game. Keep on keeping on at home. Steal you some on the road.
And get Kumaje his wind back. That will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
You can already tell, man, the way he alters shots. You don't have to play Obiagu for more minutes than you absolutely have to. You can play Kumaje for a good 15, 20 minutes these next 2 games.
Really frustrating, too, to watch a guy have to come in and shake off the rust because, it's frustrating to watch a guy who's 7 feet tall be a quarter of an inch from the rim and miss layups and dunks and chances at putbacks. I get it. He's valuable. It's just it's hard to watch a guy that big to be that close to the rim and can't get it to go.
The whole team missed a bunch of those last night. There's no doubt. And in that moment, he's got a nasty streak to him, though.
Like you got to dunk the ball.
I think he will. I think that's in his nature more than
dunk the ball. Stop trying to lay it in.
More than Boris,
right.
What you got out of Boris is what you got. He was more of a finesse player, but Kumaje's got a mean streak to him. I think in the future he will.
As I say this, if you want to find the Van Pelt, Maryland lost at the buzzer on a dunk clip, you can find it because it's fun, and it's why we'll always remember Boris but they're going to play a college football game that will determine your national champion. And I wonder if every Georgia fan began today thinking about 32-28 and 5 yards short in a classic game that we all remember exceptionally well. Good piece written about that game today by Bill Connolly, and some insight into tonight's football game with the Georgia run game against that Alabama defense. Really, I think you could look at both sides and say that exact same thing. It's the Jeff Cameron Show. We'll touch on it momentarily. You want to play it? Play it.
Maryland lost the buzzer on a dunk.
Yes, they did. That was a fun day. As we were getting ready. Were we getting ready to come
we
on
were ready
the air?
Yeah. We were watching that on the Mondo pad.
Where is the Mondo pad?
It's out there.
Right out there. I forgot. It's right there. I forget that's not a television. That's the Mondo pad.
That's the Mondo pad, yeah.
Shh.
You wanted to take it home. That's what you were thinking.
Well, it weighs 700 pounds. There's no reason to have a Mondo pad. You can get something 10 times better now for about, a third of the weight easily?
You can tell this endorsement's over.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
Online ordering for pickup or delivery and will cater your office breakfast or lunch too. Tallahassee's perfect lunch spot is Metro Deli. MetroDeliTally.com. That's MetroDeliTally.com.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Once again, all of you with stellar credit ratings, congratulations. And this message is not for you. All year I've been talking about our New For You program to assist good people with dings in their credit. And just last week, a friend of mine came into my office worried about his own credit rating. But thanks to our New For You program, you guessed it, he drove away in a brand new Nissan Altima. We are proud of the fact that we have helped hundreds of people that were previously limited shopping little used car lots where they overpaid, got huge finance charges, and had very few choices on cars to purchase. Some of those lots may actually hurt your credit more than they could ever help. So remember, credit score under 600? Come on in. Recent bankruptcy? Come on in. Recently divorced? Come on in. Think you have a financial problem we've never heard of? Come on in to Kraft Nissan. And come see the one dealer in Tallahassee that can really help you out. Come see the cars that everyone wants at the hottest dealer in town, Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag on your car, you paid too much, way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco, or visit us on the web at craftnissan.com.
Running low on the stuff you need? Time for a Target run. We're here for all the big moments and the little ones too, like those New Year's goals. Get a free $5 gift card when you spend $40 on vitamins and nutrition for a healthy new you. Or hitting the gym for the third time this week with Kind or RX bars, $5.99 a box. And natural cleaning products like Method dish soap on sale for $2.79. Get low prices on thousands of items today and every day. Target run and done. Pricing may vary, restrictions may apply.
Does the winter have you missing some golf? Well, we miss it too. That's why we're happy to announce our friends at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill have decided to golf for a great cause. Join us Friday, January 19th for the second annual Corner Pocket Winter Classic. Tee time on Friday, January 19th is 11 a.m. with 10 a.m. registration at the Golf Club at Summerbrook. Individual golfers can sign up for $50 and foursomes for $200, with the event including contests, raffles, and prizes. This year's proceeds will benefit the Big Bend Community-Based Care, who specialize in helping local area foster teens. Support this worthy cause while hitting the links with us. The second annual Corner Pocket Winter Classic, Friday, January 19th, 11 a.m. at the Golf Club at Summerbrook. Sign up the day of the event or early by emailing cornerpocketevents@gmail.com. That's cornerpocketevents@gmail.com.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford. ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, the Bears, coming off one of the worst three-season runs in franchise history, hired Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy as their new coach. He will be the play caller for QB Mitchell Trubisky as well. Nagy is well equipped to coach the young QB, believes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
He's extremely smart, extremely well prepared, extremely enthusiastic, and has learned at the feet of some of the very best as far as how to teach the quarterback position in the classroom, on the practice field, how to manage it during the games. He has been around people who have had a tremendous track record.
In the wake of an ESPN report detailing friction between Patriots coach Bill Belichick, QB Tom Brady, and owner Bob Kraft, Belichick said today he will absolutely be coaching the team in 2018. The college football season all comes down to this. Georgia-Alabama national championship game tonight. Crimson Tide has the #1 rushing defense in the country. Bulldogs have two of the nation's best tailbacks, Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. Coverage 6:30 Eastern ESPN Radio, 8 Eastern ESPN TV, and the ESPN app. The megacast on ESPNU featuring coaches Mike Gundy and David Cutcliffe.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday. Championship Monday, all right? I remember you and I were talking about this game. Everybody was, when you go back to that SEC championship game that Georgia came up just short against Alabama. And we think back to the implications of that because obviously if Mark Richt gets that win, they're going to go on and clobber Notre Dame in the same way that Alabama did. That Notre Dame team was nonsense.
It was a free title to whoever could just get to the game with Notre Dame.
And I know if you're a Notre Dame fan, it's insulting to hear people refer to you that way. And you did have an amazing season that year with several improbable wins. But you also avoided pretty obvious moments in which you looked like a middling team, including a kid missing a point-blank kick at Notre Dame to win it. What was that, Pitt, Notre Dame? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Pitt game. Yeah.
There were several other moments. Anyhow, the point I would say is that everybody knew the winner of the Georgia-Alabama game was going to go on to win the national title. And if you think about it, you would remove a national title from Nick Saban. It wouldn't make him less great, but obviously you'd take that off the ledger. So historically, we would be referencing him and his titles a little bit differently, at least in the chase to become, without question, the all-time greatest coach. Many would point to him already being that. I can certainly make that argument that he already is, given that there were some things that Bear Bryant didn't have to worry about that Nick Saban does. Now, that said, if Mark Richt wins that game and Georgia goes on and wins that national title, obviously Mark's still there. I mean, I think you could safely say that even 5 years removed, Mark Richt would still be there. They would have been SEC champs, national champs. Mark was a good enough coach that he was going to win you 10, 11 games every year. The maddening thing about Mark was that he would come up just short in the biggest games and couldn't bring home that title. And had he got one, I don't think he would have been out the door.
Well, and usually national titles help affect the recruiting class a year later. Right. So, there might have been some kids considering Alabama, Georgia that went the other way.
Yeah, who knows?
Another blue chip program.
And you can never know. But I just think that the frustration that built up with Mark was that they kept getting really close and couldn't cash it in. And if you finally cash it in, you at the very least are given another 3-year window where people back. I mean, listen, I know it's a different scenario, but Jimbo Fisher was going through a terrible season, a year removed from a average season, and by and large, the outrage directed at Jimbo himself was pretty minimal. And that's solely because he won the national title in 2013. That's it. That's the only reason. If he had not won that title and then put together the 3-loss seasons that we saw subsequently, and then this year, people would be enraged. So when you win a title, it gives you a grace period of at least 3 years.
Yeah, if we had lost that game because of the towels, and the anniversary was over the weekend, happy 4 years, buddy.
I saw pictures on my phone of you and I at the Rose Bowl celebrating said victory.
That's indeed. It was a different tale after the Rose Bowl the next season, but it doesn't matter.
We had fun at that one, too?
We did, and we got that championship.
Yeah.
But, man, if it came out that towels, not putting them up were the reason because signals were stolen that we had lost that title game, he would have been gone after 2016 if all the other results afterwards were exactly the same.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah. And so anyhow, the point is you can make the argument going all the way back to that all-time classic that was 32-28. Georgia wins it. And, Alabama wins it. One of the things that you go back to in that situation is Georgia got the ball back with no timeouts. And basically you thought, well, this is going to be a tough task. They got to go all the way down the field here, and they needed a touchdown, not a field goal. And it almost happened. Murray to Lynch, then to King, then back to Lynch. You go 15, 23, and 26 in subsequent completions, and they're going. They're going. And you get, with 9 seconds left, basically, Alabama's on their heels, and they elect not to spike it. They elect not to call time, just to go. Oh, well, they had no time. They just elect to go, which you can say was the right call. Alabama's reeling. This is a really unlucky play. When you go back, I watched the replay. When you go back at that, it's a lob attempt to Mitchell. He's single covered. He's trying to go to the corner of the end zone. He's not throwing short, but the ball's tipped, and Chris Conley turns, and it's coming at him. It's fluttering to him, and I think it was almost just an instinct to reach out and grab it. Because if he had had time to process, he would have never caught it, knowing that it'd just be best to let that fall to the earth. But when you turn around and a ball's coming right at you, I think it's just, especially as a receiver, it's probably just an instinct to catch it, and he does. Promptly falls down when he turns to run, and he wasn't going to go anywhere. Either way, there was 2 Alabama defenders there, and that was all she wrote. The game was over.
As you're saying it, I'm taking myself through it. That's not my team, and I feel lost. Because that's just one of those numbing moments. You get to watch the clock expire.
Yeah.
It's not because of a kneel. You're at whatever yard line that is. Was it the 8 or the 6?
Yeah. Well, where he catches is around the 5.
5.
It's a toughie.
And then the clock's just ticking, and
No,
there's nothing you can do.
No, as soon as he went down, and the official ruled him,
the
game is over. I mean, Alabama begins. They know you can't get a playoff. There's not enough time, and it's
that's just. I mean, I'm glad that we didn't lose that way.
No,
or
that we didn't lose. Period.
Yeah,
in the game.
Yeah.
Yes, that would have hurt. By the way, it should be noted it wasn't solely the reason that they lost. Eddie Lacy and T.J. Yeldon had combined for 334 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns.
That was such a fun heavyweight fight on the ground. What a game. It was awesome.
Think about the names, right? Eddie Lacy, T.J. Yeldon, Amari Cooper. I mean, we do this now when we, Chubb and Mitchell, and I mean, there's so many good players on that team. Well, on those two teams, as you would suspect. But Georgia now with a chance tonight. And how much of a chance do you give them to win the game? Because I don't think that the vast majority of college football fans view this game as one that Georgia's going to win.
I think they're the better team. I just don't know that they're ready. And the quarterback position is not a position of strength, but neither quarterback is great tonight. So.
Yeah, but it's hard to bet against the experience of one of those not great quarterbacks.
No, well, and Kirby is had a schedule as a coach too. So if you're just tilting it in just the intangibles, they all go to Alabama. But maybe it's the fact that it's the second game in a sequence and it's not Kirby has a month to prepare for Nick. I always felt like the Rose Bowl was the better of the two semifinal games. That pitted two really good battle-tested teams against each other, and that played completely different styles, and the winner of that game, at least in my mind, was the favorite going into tonight. If Alabama wins, am I stunned? Hell no. No, I am not stunned at all, but I really just feel like the two-headed attack on the ground for Georgia is the most dynamic part of a game that's largely even.
Yeah, but you do know this. You know that Nick certainly is going to take that away. He's got to.
We'll see.
Alabama, even with those injuries, by the way, if you're wondering, I pulled up the ranks because I was awfully curious about this. Still ranks #1 in rushing S&P. That's what they are, and Georgia has played 3 games against teams in the rushing S&P that are in the top 15. So you might say to yourself, well, how did they fare in those games where they faced a top 15 rush defense? And it's interesting, right? Against Notre Dame, Sonny Michel and Chubb combined for 136 yards on 26 carries, 5.2 yards per carry. 10 of their 26 carries gained at least 5 yards, 6 for 13 for Michel, 4 for 13 for Chubb. In their first game against Auburn, Michel and Chubb combined for 48 yards and 20 carries, just 2.4 yards per attempt. That is a problem. Obviously. In the second game, however, things improved dramatically. 122 yards, 20 carries, and that's 6.1. So obviously it changed. I would guess that Alabama is going to do everything in their power to make sure that doesn't happen because you got to have a freshman quarterback beat you.
The one thing I'd say is Georgia has to stick to it, and they got to run right at Alabama. There was a point in the Rose Bowl where it almost cost them. And it's so clear that if you just run at Oklahoma, don't give them time, no lateral runs, you don't need to run end arounds, no tricks. You run right at them, by and large, you're going to be successful. And yet they decided to get a little bit cute. But honestly, I mean, even going back to our game, the best way to run on Alabama is not laterally, it's not off tackle. You just have to go straight at them. And you have 2 backs to do it. I don't think but 17 points is going to be necessary to win this game tonight.
I was going to say the race is to 21. In my guess,
to be comfortable,
you say
sure.
17. I'm going to say the race for either team is to 21. You're going with 17. I think somebody's going to score 3 touchdowns. I think and whether that's one of those is a defensive score or set
it would
up
have to be because
I think so.
I mean, think about even the Clemson game. How many offensive points were necessary if defenses didn't, short field or you know what? Everything about tonight. All of the details matter so much. It's about leverage on down and distance. It's about
that's where first down is such a big deal. Neither of these quarterbacks, and certainly you don't want to put a freshman quarterback in a situation to where he's throwing on 3rd and 5 or more. So you got to get enough yards on first down to stay with what you want to do.
Right. It's about field position too. It's about how good's your kicker, and I think advantage Georgia in that regard.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I just think Georgia's the better team. I just don't know that they're ready. We'll
Wager
see.
it is, sir. I'll take Alabama tonight.
That's
You
a good
got
pick.
Georgia. No, I like it. I'll take Alabama. You take Georgia. We could do this. We could flip it. You could make the argument for Alabama just as easy as I could, and vice versa. Yeah, but I'll take Alabama. I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting for Georgia to win the game, admittedly. Irashfel, warchant.com. Let's get caught up on some Florida State talk here in a moment. He'll join us next.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
We are proud of the fact that we have helped hundreds of people that were previously limited shopping little used car lots where they overpaid, got huge finance charges, and had very few choices on cars to purchase. Some of those lots may actually hurt your credit more than they could ever help. So remember, credit score under 600? Come on in. Recent bankruptcy? Come on in. Recently divorced? Come on in. Think you have a financial problem we've never heard of? Come on in to Kraft Nissan and come see the one dealer in Tallahassee that can really help you out. Come see the cars that everyone wants at the hottest dealer in town, Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag on your car, you paid too much, way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco, or visit us on the web at craftnissan.com.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9. Happy hour drink specials and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are coming in January to West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Jackson Hewitt has big news. The no-fee refund advance just got bigger. Now you could get up to $3,200 today. Go to Jackson Hewitt and you could get up to $3,200 with a bigger-than-ever no-fee refund advance 0% APR loan. Don't delay. Go to Jackson Hewitt today and you could get up to $3,200. Optional tax refund loan provided by Medevac, not the actual tax refund. You can e-file without applying. Fees for other optional products may apply. Availability and loan amount subject to conditions and locations. Bigger is a comparison to the maximum loan amounts previously available for the refund advance at Jackson Hewitt. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
I'm Johnny Weir.
And I'm Tara Lipinski. Entenmann's is celebrating their 120th birthday. Who doesn't love Entenmann's? Some of my favorite Entenmann's products are their rich frosted donuts, their crumb cake, and of course, Entenmann's Little Bites muffins.
Entenmann's is celebrating their 120th birthday in a big way with their I Sing on the Cake sweepstakes. Go to Entenmann's120birthday.com to enter for a chance to win some really great prizes.
Sing happy birthday to Entenmann's using the hashtags Entenmann's120 and hashtag promotion. You get a second entry for the prizes.
120 years. We love you, Entenmann's.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, the Bears, coming off one of the worst three-season runs in franchise history, hired Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy as their new coach. He will be the play caller for QB Mitchell Trubisky as well. Nagy is well equipped to coach the young QB, believes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
He's extremely smart, extremely well prepared, extremely enthusiastic, and has learned at the feet of some of the very best as far as how to teach the quarterback position in the classroom, on the practice field, how to manage it during the games. He has been around people who have had a tremendous track record.
In the wake of an ESPN report detailing friction between Patriots coach Bill Belichick, QB Tom Brady, and owner Bob Kraft, Belichick said today he will absolutely be coaching the team in 2018. The college football season all comes down to this. Georgia-Alabama national championship game tonight. Crimson Tide has the #1 rushing defense in the country. Bulldogs have two of the nation's best tailbacks, Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. Coverage 6:30 Eastern ESPN Radio, 8 Eastern ESPN TV, and the ESPN app. The megacast on ESPNU featuring coaches Mike Gundy and David Cutcliffe.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hope you're well. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. Check us out online, ESPNTallahassee.com. Streaming there, you can always use our WTSM app. That's a free app for your mobile devices. Doesn't matter if that's an iPhone or Android. And I love that app, by the way, because when you use it, if you click in the left corner there, you'll see that the archived audio is available as well from other days. So a lot of stuff there. Just use the app. A lot of people get confused sometimes. You're not on the ESPN app. We're on the WTSM app. It's a vastly superior app. You can email us if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com.
When they rebooted Ashley Schaefer there, it was okay, but that line
it's
about
awesome.
The superior
Kia
automobile.
is a superior automobile.
Weren't you pushing BMWs? A Kia is a superior automobile.
JCS at 979espnradio.com. And, yeah, as I said, YouTube, ESPN.
He lost his franchise rights because he was arms dealing?
Yeah, there was cocaine residue in the vehicles.
That's right.
Yeah, they caught him.
On AK-47s and other automatic.
It's just absurd. Irash Fell going to join us right now, as he's wont to do on Mondays. Warchant.com, the website. Hello, Ira. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very well. Let's start with a couple of departures. McFadden off to the NFL. Nobody's surprised there. He needed to declare and take it on down the road. In many ways, he had already declared long before the start of this season. At least if Everett had anything to do with revealing that. And then, secondly, Auden Tate is leaving. I really hate that. I understand it. I get it. I just wish it hadn't happened. Your thoughts on those two gentlemen declaring for the NFL?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if Auden Tate, I wonder if he would have stayed if Lawrence Dawsey had stayed. It just seemed like he didn't seem to take that news, at least according to his Twitter account. He didn't seem to be real excited when Lawrence Dawsey was not retained by the new staff, and I think that probably cast a die for him. And I think it's unfortunate because, like you said, we just really started to see his potential this past season, and he was a little bit banged up. I mean, a full season in an offense that puts up a lot of points could have been really neat with that guy. But, Tavares, I think everybody kind of agrees. It it would have been tough for him to kind of probably come back and try to rebuild things. But I have no idea where he would go in the draft because he's got the measurables, he's got tremendous size, has shown good ball skills in the past, but his junior year in every category would have to cause NFL teams concern.
He's a guy. Like you said, the measurables will suggest that he is going to get drafted higher than one would project based on what we saw him do, right? And a lot of times those combines allow for guys to make up for what the film doesn't to a greater extent than we think it should. But, man, there are too many moments that they're going to be able to look at where a guy is certainly making a lot of business decisions. Lack of effort, lack of want to, lack of sticking your head in there, that really rose to the surface, I think, most often in the Louisville game for McFadden. It'll be curious. For Auden, I wish him well, and I understand it. Maybe he felt like he couldn't really improve his stock any more than it is right now, and another year would be a year wasted. Let's go to the roundtable on warchant.com. I saw you guys did one talking about and evaluating Willie Taggart's coaching hires and more. Let's start with what your thoughts were. First of all, I like what you said when you brought up the fact that the defensive coordinator hire is one that means basically that Barnett really had to have interviewed well, because he doesn't seem to have a link to Willie Taggart in his past or otherwise. This means that this would have been a moment where he sat across from Barnett and became very impressed.
Yeah, without question. And on top of that, because look, most of the hires and it'll be, when you hire so many coaches that have ties to you, like he has, several of these assistant coaches are guys that worked with him at USF and Oregon and Western Kentucky. When you do that, it can open you up to some criticism if the job doesn't get done. People start saying, "Oh, you just hired your buddies. You didn't bring in enough. You didn't really cast a wide enough net." But this is a hire where he certainly did. He didn't just go with somebody that he knew. And I think the fact that he coached, not only did Michigan State play well, but nobody knows coaches better than the teams they play against. Like if you ask Florida State assistant coaches about the teams they play against, who's well prepared, whose players are well coached,
right?
Whose players are just disciplined and those types of things. Their rivals usually know better than anybody. And the fact that Jim Harbaugh is Willie Taggart's confidant and mentor, he worked for him for a long time. He's very close to that family. And Greg Fry, of course, who's now the offensive line coach at Florida State. Those guys both went against Michigan State every year, and for them to give him kind of their blessing, which I'm sure they did, I think speaks a lot as well. And so, yeah, I mean, and just talking to people who have met Harlan Barnett since he's been on campus, since he's been to Tallahassee, everybody's been really impressed with just his intellect and what he brings to the table. So I think he's not a guy that, I love Michigan State's defenses. He's not a guy that I would have said, "Oh, you need to go out and get Harlan Barnett." But I think when you look at all the circumstantial evidence, it looks like it's going to be a really good hire.
Yeah, it's exciting, I think, too, especially when you read into what his former players and current players had to say about his departure, and then those that are closest to the Michigan State program and or cover it. They all seem to think that is a devastating loss for Michigan State, that not only is he an alumnus that cares deeply about the university, but that he was a tremendous coach and leader on and off the field that they're going to be missing out on considerably. So that's exciting to see Florida State add that to the fold. And I think the hiring of Greg Fry is another hire that had a lot of fans very excited. Obviously, you tend to associate, bruising football with the way that Michigan plays, and Greg Fry being a former player here at Florida State. I think that was another hire that really resonated, bringing him to Tallahassee.
Oh yeah, no question. And and again, I didn't cover FSU when Greg Fry was here, but I talking to people who either played with him or coached him. And just, I talked to Mickey Andrews about him the other day, and Coach Andrews just could not say enough things about him, just about what a smart kid he was, what a hard worker he was. He said he was just one of those guys that was in the weight room way before anybody else, in the weight room after everybody else. And, people have kind of, taken shots at Fry through the years for not living up to his potential as a recruit. He was so highly touted as a recruit, but didn't go on to become an NFL Hall of Famer or anything. And his Mickey Andrews' point was, look, man, that guy, he was so highly thought of because he worked so hard and he was so smart. And that's the reason he had so much success. And maybe he didn't have the prototypical, NFL ability, but to be a Hall of Fame type guy. But in terms of the intangibles, work ethic, intelligence, all those things that have now carried over to him as a coach, Coach Andrews and other people said you could see that back when he was on the team.
Get to some other aspects of the hires in their entirety here in a moment, but I do want to ask you this. We talked about the athletic department and a sense of relief when Jimbo left. Are folks over in the athletic department still liking the day-to-day operation as Willie Taggart continues to settle in?
Yeah, man, definitely on the football side. I don't think people outside of football have dealt too much with Willie Taggart yet because he's been so busy between recruiting and then putting together this coaching staff, and now he'll be getting back on the road recruiting. So I don't think he's done as much interacting with other departments as he will. But from talking to people who are involved with football and in some of those meetings and just around those offices, they really like him and the staff. I mean, you're just hearing a lot of good things about. It just seems like a bunch of good guys that really have a good personalities, are very excited to be at Florida State. This isn't a situation where they're mercenaries just doing a job. They really seem to be just guys that everybody's relating to really well, and then also bringing new ideas and fresh ideas. And so I think, again, like you said, one of the things we've talked about a lot with Jimbo is towards the end, it just seemed like things had gotten so negative because of all the battles that had been going on behind the scenes. And now, getting a fresh start with some guys who are bringing a lot of positivity, that really seems to be rubbing off. And I think the players are starting to feel it as well.
We did hear a lot, and this goes to the roundtable on warchant.com. We certainly heard a lot about the fact that in the beginning that it seemed like Willie was going to bring in several former Noles to be a part of this coaching staff, and outside of Fry, really, it didn't happen. And Ron Dugans would probably be the most high-profile, along T-Buck back when we first started this conversation. But Ron Dugans was a guy that we thought would be a shoo-in here, and a guy that wanted to come back home, was really well thought of, and this seemed like a no-brainer. But it appears now, I guess, that it's not going to happen. I guess give us your thoughts on that and this process, and whether or not that was ever a real possibility to have any number of Noles on this staff, as were rumored.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Dugans is the interesting one. I thought about writing a column about it, but I'm just not sure if I will. But it is interesting because, man, he really wanted to be back at FSU for a long time. He came back as a GA at one point when Jimbo was here, and I think he really wanted a full-time job, and it never materialized. And, he's a Tallahassee guy, local, grew up here, played here, has tons of family and friends here. And I think for a lot of reasons, it just seemed like, man, once he got that offer, he was definitely going to come, especially because he coached with Taggart at USF, so everybody thought it would be a done deal. But I think, there's a couple things to think about. From a career perspective and a family perspective, sometimes things change. And I think you can make a case, and this isn't directly from Ron Dugans, it's just from talking to other people who know him, that you can make a case that Mark Richt at Miami is a little bit more stable of a position than Willie Taggart at Florida State. I mean, there's a risk that in 2 or 3 years that Willie Taggart may not be on firm ground at Florida State if it doesn't happen the way you'd like to think it's going to happen. Mark Richt at 57 at Miami, the way he's got it kind of turned around, and given his track record as a head coach, you feel like there's a pretty good chance he's going to end up his career at Miami. I mean, that would probably be his final stop, and he might be there another 6, 7, 8, 10 years. So from a stability standpoint, you can make the argument that there's a lot less risk at Miami for Ron Dugans, especially if they make him a good offer to stay. And then on top of that, from a personal reason, because Dugans really worked his way up the way a lot of these coaches do, he didn't just show up at Miami. I mean, he coached, at Louisville, at USF. I mean, he moved around, taking different jobs and moving his family around. And I think his family seemed really happy in Miami. So now if you move back to Tallahassee, that might be great. But again, if things don't go great after 2 or 3 years, now you're moving again. So I understand it. I don't think it had anything to do with FSU or Willie Taggart. I just think he really found himself in a great situation with Mark Richt to where it made it a lot tougher decision than he probably would have thought.
It's fascinating, and it's hard not to, if you're a Knoll, kind of begrudge that for a moment because you wanted to see it happen, and obviously Ron is really well thought of in the Florida State community. He was a very good football player here. Nobody forgets that, and always seemed to be a really good guy. And I think a lot of people got excited about what he could bring to the table, also not just as a coach but as a recruiter. And it seemed like a no-brainer. So when that doesn't happen, you almost take an affront to that. You almost say, well, what the hell? But it's interesting to hear you describe it from a different perspective, because that is the hard part for all alumni and fans, is everybody thinks their university is the be-all, end-all, and there are no other places you can work and be happy if you're one of us, and so it's hard to stomach, but you can understand it from that standpoint. Is that definitely now completely done off the table?
I mean, we've thought it was done for a little while, even before Ron Dugans came back and talked to Willie Taggart. It sounded like, from what we were hearing from people at Miami, was that he had kind of already assured people down there he was going to stay, and that's over a week ago. He did come back and talk, and according to reports, and kind of entertain the idea of coming back. But now there's more reports out there that he's definitely staying, and he's told his players that. I mean, again, that's kind of what we felt, at least for over a week, was probably going to happen, because again, I just think the relationship, and I actually talked to somebody who had dinner with, Ron Dugans, not during this process, at the beginning of this process, who said he never got any sense that Dugans was leaving Miami. So I just think that it had gotten to a point where, he really felt comfortable there, and then maybe it would have taken, maybe if he came up here and just the emotions were so strong that he couldn't pass it up. But I think for a little while now, he's known he was going to stay at Miami.
Elite recruiters litter this staff. On the whole, your thoughts on what Willie's been able to do, and are you happy, I guess, for lack of a better term? I understand you're trying to be objective, but do you think fans are happy with the staff that he's put together?
Yeah, I mean, I think, recruiting's the name of the game. And people, and again, we all do this. We try to find something to talk about. If he hired a bunch of X's and O's guys,
we'd say, where are the recruiters? Right. Yeah.
So the fact that he hired a bunch of guys who have great records as recruiters, people are going to start saying, well, hey, who's going to draw things up? But look, I mean, he said it at this press conference, and he made no apologies about it. He said, look, I feel like anybody that's in a position where I might hire them at this level, they know how to coach football. And then it's about, getting players and getting guys that I believe in and will believe in me, and getting that camaraderie. And again, that's something that, that's something I think you could say was lacking at times from Jimbo Fisher's staff. I'm not to criticize those guys, but that's not how Jimbo put together a staff. I mean, he didn't, I don't think he put a great emphasis on how necessarily, that all played out. And I think that, I think that Willie Taggart is. I think he wants guys that he believes in, that believe in him. He's not going to have to worry about egos and worry about who's doing what. And at the end of the day, it's who gets the best players. I mean, that's 90% of it in college football. And because you don't have the time that they have in the NFL to coach, and even their, talent's at a premium. So I just think it's the right way to go about it. I think he's got guys who can coach. But I think, getting those players and I think that, a couple of these guys I didn't know that much about. Raymond Woody, who's going to be the linebackers coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael did a story on him the other day, and just looking at some of the guys he signed, I mean, when they were at Western Kentucky, he signed a couple of two-star guys out of Florida that now play in the NFL. One was a second-round pick, the tight end, and one was a fourth-round pick. Both of them were two-star recruits that he signed at Western Kentucky. So I just think that they have a track record of being able to recruit, but also identify players. And I think that's all you're really asking for. I mean, again, I think Harlan Barnett's going to be a very good defensive coordinator. If Willie Taggart is the offensive mind that people say, I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, well, because he's going to call plays. So, and Willie obviously had success this year doing just that at Oregon and lighting up the scoreboard, especially when he had his quarterback. Who you got in the championship game tonight?
I got to go with Saban in Alabama just because that's what he does against his former assistants. But I'll be pulling for Kirby, man. I'll be pulling for Kirby.
Yeah, I will too. I think a lot of us in Tallahassee will be. Always good to talk to you, brother. Talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
All right, take care. IrishFL, WarChant.com. Willie's going to It's interesting. Willie didn't always call plays at USF. He gave it up for a short time. He ended up taking it back. And then he called plays at Oregon. And he's going to call plays here. And he's mentioned about learning from mistakes as a play caller and all of that stuff. It'll be fascinating. I'm so split on that. When at the end of the Bowden era, let's come back and talk about this because I think it's fascinating. At the end of the Bowden era, I was so ready for a guy to be ultra hands-on because Lord knows we had a coach who wasn't. And now that we've gone through that, and there was the good and the bad with all of that, I'm kind of ready to go back to the guy who delegates a little bit more. So it's interesting. We'll talk about it next. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
No appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I'm going to Gordo's. Gonna get some bungalow chungala at the Gordo's. Drink a margarita. See my man Eddie.
Dude, we're driving there now. I'm sitting next to you. If you got something to say, I'm here for you, bro.
It's better when we see each other at the Gordo's.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac is back at it, supporting the High School Scholar Athlete of the Month on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Listen every Wednesday to hear our monthly winners. Check them out at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMCCadillac.com.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9. Happy hour drink specials and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are coming in January to West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Want better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine? Change your oil every 3 months or 3,000 miles, whichever comes first. You know that sticker on your windshield? Don't look at it now. Wait until the next red light. Okay, check the number on your sticker. Then check your odometer. Is it time? There are 19 Tallahassee area Super Lube locations, which means there's one close to you right now. No appointments, and you're in and out in no time. You can do this today. Super Lube, for better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine.
How I love to Super Lube my car. Yes, sir.
I'm Johnny Weir.
And I'm Tara Lipinski.
Entenmann's is celebrating their 120th birthday in a big way with their I Sing on the Cake sweepstakes. Go to Entenmann's120birthday.com to enter for a chance to win some really great prizes.
Now, if you sing happy birthday to Entenmann's using the hashtags Entenmann's120 and hashtag promotion, you get a second entry for the prizes. And Entenmann's will make a donation to the Give the Note Foundation to support music education in schools.
120 years.
Who doesn't love Entenmann's?
Happy birthday to you.
If you're a small business, first impressions can make all the difference. With Grasshopper, you get all the features of a professional business phone system on your mobile phone. Choose a business phone number, make calls, and send texts. Stay connected and work from anywhere with features like Wi-Fi calling and our desktop app. Set up your account in minutes with no long-term contracts and 24/7 customer support. Make your small business big. Now get $20 off your first month when you visit grasshopper.com/radio. That's grasshopper.com/radio.
You're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hey, as an aside, Tom, this has nothing to do with the national championship game tonight or what I was just talking about regarding play calling, which I'll get back to momentarily. Did you watch any of the golf over the weekend?
I saw the one shot that everybody needs to see, but I did
Dustin
not.
Johnson drive?
Yes, I did not see any of the other stuff. No.
That's just wrong. I'm not talking about you.
I was going to say, dude, it's January.
It's time to start watching the PGA Tour, but I'm not going to get on you just yet. Come join me, my friends, at Sirius 208 XM92. But I want that drive is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go to hell with that nonsense, Dustin.
Mike and Mike moment. It's on my Twitter feed. I tweeted it out last thing I did this morning, which is @_Tom Lang. But it's Dustin Johnson's drive on the 12th hole.
Par 4.
From 433 yards. Just take it in. Watch it.
Well, it almost goes in, first of all, which is crazy. And it is downhill, and he got it up in the wind, but good God, man.
But he knew it.
Oh,
I mean, it's almost like he was hitting an 8-iron to 180, which is what pros do. The way he walked off the tee, he knew he got it.
Oh, he knew he got it.
And he had a good look.
And when he gets it, I mean, he gets it in a way that is, oof.
No, he and John Rahm last year, early in the schedule, I forget what event this was, but there's a long par 5 down the hill. It's like 600 yards, but it's way down the hill, and they hit it 400. Sure. But the ability to hit a 430-yard drive, which is probably on flat ground the equivalent of 360, which is so stupid, to hit it that accurately?
Yeah.
He was trying to do what he did.
But it plays to him nicely, too, because it's left to right, and he plays that big cut. But it's crazy.
But the margin for error at that distance, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. I wish, I think it's funny. He says basically that everything changed for him with the driver. He could always hit it a mile, but that everything changed for him when he learned how to hit a cut with the driver, and because he keeps it in play, and he still goes a gazillion miles. And somebody asked him, how did you learn how to hit a cut? He goes, I don't know, I just did. Well, you know what? You go to hell with that. I would like to just figure it out. Sure, you know what I'd like to do? A little right to left draw. That's all. Off the tee, about 290. That's all I'm asking for. How'd you learn how to do that, Jeff? I don't know. I just did it. Just figured it out. Just kept hitting. Figured it out. Now it works every time. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right. Back to Florida State play calling, Willie Taggart. I'm fine with it. Whatever. We haven't seen it yet, right? We don't know. It may end up being great. I have a sense that it's going to be. You're going to get athletes in space. You're going to play at pace. They're going to score. And so we're not going to be complaining about certain aspects of play calls. We might be complaining some about aspects of the system. But it's so funny because we do this all the time with coaches with our NFL teams and maybe even with our college teams, where if you have a player's coach, when things begin to fall apart, you want a disciplinarian. You decide, well, there's way too much fun going on around here. We need to get people focused. Get somebody in here like Bill Parcells who's going to ratchet it down. And then if you have one of those guys who's overbearing and a Tom Coughlin type that if you're not 5 minutes early to the meeting, you're late and all that other stuff, you can't wait when things go south there to get a guy in to loosen things up. Can we have some fun around here? It's still a game. Good Lord, I still have to want to come to the office and have a good time with people. So this is what we want. We always want the opposite of what we have if things are going wrong. When things are going right, that system, whatever it is the perfect one, or that style is the perfect style. Well, obviously, we had a CEO head coach for a very long time in Bobby Bowden, and Bobby had delegated for so long because he had a consistency of coaches that he could trust implicitly to do what he wanted done. Now, in his youth, Bobby was a forward-thinking, progressive, and an innovative coach, and we all know that, and he did a great job. But obviously, in his latter years, he was a guy who the game passed by, frankly, and if he needed to call plays, he was going to call a trick play. That's what Bobby was going to do. He was going to run the reverse. But he wasn't going to do much else, and so I used to hate that. I used to admire some of those coaches who had the play sheet in hand, who were locked in play to play, and knew exactly what was going on and why, and here's what they were going to do to fix it on the fly and all of that, and they could do that because they were calling those plays and because they were so actively involved. But we had that with Jimbo Fisher, and at times Jimbo's downfall, in my opinion, was his head was in that playbook and nowhere else. The play-to-play burying of the head in the play sheet allowed for things to fall between the cracks that fall under the purview of a head coach, whether that was down distance, time management, things of that ilk, getting on officials, whatever it might be, maybe talking to a defensive player, putting your arm around an offensive lineman, basically checking on the segments of your team. Those things were things that suffered because our head coach was a play caller, and the play call was everything, and that sheet was everything. Not always. There were times where he was able to unmarry himself from that, and he even gave up and delegated for a time, briefly, with Randy Sanders. But you never got the sense that was going to be long-term, and he never wavered with that. And there was good and bad with all of that. And so I kind of got to a point where I was ready for that next guy to come in and say, no, I'm definitely going to have a coordinator, and I'm going to take a big picture view. We'll see.
Well, don't you think that there's a fundamental difference here, though? Because
without question,
there aren't as many plays. I mean,
right.
He's not calling nearly as many plays, and you're running at such a pace that you're making minor adjustments on the go. So I don't think that calling the plays, so to speak, is nearly the task for Willie Taggart that it would be for Jimbo Fisher and his offense.
Oh, I tend to agree, and I think that our biggest complaints are going to be more, again, about the system and some of the failures in a system like that, especially red zone stuff that will bother me. But again, if you're putting up a lot of points and you're a fun style of offense to watch, and you utilize your athletes by putting them in space and letting them make plays and not overcomplicating things, then, I think by and large you'll accept some of the things that you don't like, just as you do when you're running a pro-style offense and maybe you're running at a slower pace. I mean, you can accept that it's maybe not as fun or nearly as engaging as some of those other offenses we watch play on Saturdays where they spread it out and go. If it's being run efficiently, and you're winning a lot of football games, you really don't care.
I agree. A couple of things that I really want to see this year. Obviously, one of them is an overwhelmed defense. You want to feel that for the other sideline.
You want to blow somebody's ass out again for the first time in forever.
You know that look pre-snap. It's the same look, in football that you get in somebody's eyes when they're overwhelmed. So you see people scrambling. They don't know the play. They can't get the communications in. The ball snapped too late.
Yeah.
Gain of 8. And here we go again. Second and 2.
Again with these guys.
Boy, they might need to call a timeout because we got them on the ropes right here.
Right.
But to me, the key is the defense. The key to enjoying this offense, because I'm like you.
You got to get stops.
You got to get stops because it's got to be a multiplier. That's when I'm going to enjoy it most. And the other thing I want to see is how physical can we be in the run game given the sets that we're going to run?
Well, I will say this. He was very physical in the run game. They used a lot of power principles, even though this is the different offense that you don't usually link with that. He did at USF. They were very physical between the tackles. So that's still there.
And I understand. I can totally understand where you're coming from. If it's first and goal at the 1 and you're in the shotgun, if you have receivers out there, I'm with you. But at the same time, the tailback is in a position that he's going to be in anyway, as long as you have a lead blocker for him. But if formationally speaking, let's just say that you've got receivers and a tight end on the line, and it's quarterback and running back, and there's no H-back or somebody in front of him that's going to lead the way, that will frustrate me a little bit too. We're going to manage situations so differently. We're going to go for it on 4th down way more.
You're damn right we are. Yes.
And obviously we're going to call the game. It's not always going to be quarterback-centric in the sense that, first down, we've got to throw the ball because I got to get this guy in rhythm. It's not going to be about that. It's going to be about what gets us down the field the fastest, and that's going to be refreshing too.
Really excited to see the quarterback battle take place in the spring. If DeAndre Francois is healthy enough to engage in said battle, that would be great. We got to knock on wood that can happen. And really, I also am excited to see the recruitment of that position moving forward. We're going to start looking at things a little bit differently when we look at recruiting at the quarterback position, because certainly under Jimbo Fisher, we rightfully began to look for anybody that could process that offense and be a really, really good quarterback in a pro-style system and making checks at the line, et cetera.
What I will miss is the true fullback. We did have that with Jimbo, and watching Thunder or Lonnie Pryor or Abram, man, that was fun.
And we were like
that.
the last of a dying breed, too,
Yeah.
with that. It was a lot of fun. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
NMLS number 3030.
Xfinity delivers the fastest internet, the most Wi-Fi coverage throughout your home, and the most Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. Only from Xfinity. Call, click, or visit an Xfinity store today to experience all Xfinity has to offer.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, the Bears coming off one of the worst three-season runs in franchise history.
hired Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy as their new coach. He will be the play caller for QB Mitchell Trubisky as well. Nagy is well equipped to coach the young QB, believes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
He's extremely smart, extremely well prepared, extremely enthusiastic, and has learned at the feet of some of the very best as far as how to teach the quarterback position in the classroom, on the practice field, how to manage it during the games. He has been around people who have had a tremendous track record.
In the wake of an ESPN report detailing friction between Patriots coach Bill Belichick, QB Tom Brady, and owner Bob Kraft, Belichick said today he will absolutely be coaching the team in 2018. The college football season all comes down to this. Georgia-Alabama national championship game tonight. Crimson Tide has the #1 rushing defense in the country. Bulldogs have two of the nation's best tailbacks, Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. Coverage 6:30 Eastern ESPN Radio, 8 Eastern ESPN TV, and the ESPN app. The megacast on ESPNU featuring coaches Mike Gundy and David Cutcliffe.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
I've watched this like 10 times now. I think I'm serious when I tell you that the reason Triplets crew blew the play dead where Marcus Mariota gets drilled by Derek Johnson is because that old man behind Mariota that raises his hand and blows the whistle is the same as the guy driving around at 85 years old at the farmer's market plowing through people because he gets nervous and hits the gas instead of the brake. That old dude is watching Derek Johnson coming at Marcus Mariota, and his grandfatherly instincts take over. He's scared. He's worried that Mariota is going to get hurt. And this has nothing, it could have been any quarterback. What I'm saying is he literally just like raises I'm watching the replay right now. He's raising his hand, blowing the whistle before Mariota gets hurt. Explain that. That's a guy who panicked. Like, literally, you know how when you're watching a scary movie and somebody's about to jump out and you know it, but the character doesn't? So you go, no, don't go in there. You're yelling at your television, or you're doing the stereotypical, no, you're going to die. You're going to die. What are you doing? Why would you go in that dark room? Don't go in that dark room. You're going to die. That's that ref. Triplet's like, oh, no. Blow the whistle. Somebody stop this. Stop it. This is a violent game. I don't like it. I want to go home. Like he's about to shrivel up in the fetal position and start crying because he's scared that Mariota's going to get hurt. So he just starts blowing the whistle. Inexplicably blowing the whistle, raising his hand. No, hey, you got to block him. Guys, you got to block him. You're going to get this kid hurt. What are we doing here? Let's huddle up. Let's do it again. Second down. Like he's coaching. He's scared to death. It's crazy.
Who do you think's more excited about the results in that game? Titans fans or Patriots fans? Because Titans fans now get malarkey extended by beating Kansas City. If they had lost, they would have cut bait. I'll bet you Patriots fans are happier.
Yeah, but Patriot fans are beginning to wonder if the dynasty's finally coming to an end. They got too many things to worry about in their own backyard than whether or not Tennessee is.
But just by
Kansas
the result,
City, yeah.
You are now hosting the AFC Championship game.
No, without question. And they're going to beat them like a drum. But that's just...
If you're thinking this is the last one, I want the best chance to make the last one count and get a sixth title, you know?
I don't think... Here's what's interesting. I thought at the beginning of the playoffs that the Steelers were going to come out of this. I think the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl.
It could be Antonio Brown return to practice today. We'll see. Even if he's a decoy, how valuable is that? That Jalen Ramsey has to lock up a decoy until they figure it out?
It's a great listen, I would give the Jags every chance, and I still give them a chance because their defense is so good, but I would give the Jags a chance if their quarterback just wasn't garbage. But he's garbage. So they can't win. You can't win like that.
Who's got a better chance, though, to win this weekend in the AFC? It has to be the Jags by a mile, right?
Over the Titans?
Yeah, because, they've already beaten the Steelers one time this year. I get it's the regular season.
If your defense is as good as theirs is, yes.
You can win any game.
You can win any game. If you play that kind of defense, you can win any game. I agree. Now, again, I wouldn't pick them.
We'll see what the weather report is, because if it's going to be windy.
Well, Roethlisberger's not afraid of wind.
Nope, but I'm saying with Bortles,
they're going to have to run the option.
Go with Henny.
If there's a slight breeze, you just may want to run the option because your quarterback can't throw a forward pass if it's a little breezy.
It's crazy. He was red hot down the stretch, too.
It's hard to watch him, man. I mean, it's just there's no confidence there whatsoever, and everything's late. And he knew the best thing he could do was not turn it over. I'll give him credit for that. I mean, if you're Jacksonville, you're almost calling plays where you say, without saying it, yeah, so this is a pass play I'm calling. But, you don't have to throw it. Like, it's the last thing you'd ever want to do if you want to instill your quarterback with confidence. But at the same time, from watching that game, Buffalo can't score. Tyrod Taylor is not any good, and the Jags defense is really good. Deadly combination. Short of Tyrod Taylor just running around. Same thing with Blake Bortles. Short of him just running around, plays were not going to get made on offense with these two teams, especially not the Bills against the Jags defense. And you're stuck in a situation as an offensive play caller because now you're so limited and you're already going against a great defense, and now they're triggering because they know exactly what's coming. They don't have to respect or honor anything, especially not down the field. So you're not even defending the whole field, and you already have better athletes who are killing your guys in space, and you've got a hobbled running back. So Buffalo's got no shot at that point. And Jacksonville, once they got the lead, seriously, it's almost as if you'd like to call plays and say, into his ear. One side of the field, dude, if it's there, throw it. If it's not, run, take off. And you can't do that because you can, but if you do it, you are signaling your quarterback that you have no faith in him. But you're trying to win the damn game.
Yeah, you're trying to win a playoff game, and he's not your solution next year. He's not going to be their starter next year. I would have flipped to Henny by halftime. That last drive before the half.
The only problem with that is that it reeks of panic.
But it's also correct. It reeks of being correct and not too afraid to make the change.
Henny's arm is vastly superior, but Henny's not a good quarterback.
Listen, you're going to win the game. You don't know that.
You don't know that.
You end up winning the game.
Yeah.
But in that moment, anybody, Tony Romo could have come down from the booth.
There's no question.
With
Tony
his
Romo
bad
was
back,
the best quarterback on in the stadium, without question.
But what I'm saying is, with his bad back and not working out, like a quarterback
he'd have been a lot better.
If he just came down from the booth and changed on the way down, threw the shoulder pads on and the helmet, he would have been better.
You could hear it in his voice how frustrated he was watching these two quarterbacks.
I could have won a Super Bowl with these guys.
Well, and I'm not kidding, by the way. Again, I'm not trying to badger Jaguar fans. I said at the outset of the show, congratulations, playoff win. It's better than my Bucks. Great for you. Good to see you. I love watching that defense play. There's a lot of Knowles on that team. Got plenty of friends that are Jags fans. So I'm happy for them. I used to joke about the Jaguars all the time. I'm indifferent about the Jaguars. I've gotten to where I care much more about my team and less about anybody else's.
They're very sensitive. They're just very sensitive.
Yeah, but I've taken shots at them for years. So if they're sensitive towards me, I get it.
They're sensitive to anybody taking shots. But Tampa's nothing great. That's always the comeback. And I'm like, am I claiming it is?
No, I know.
Have I ever claimed?
Don't worry about us.
Tampa is also a Super Bowl champion, but I'm not claiming anything else.
But here's what I'll say about it. Again, I like a lot of the elements of that team. I love to watch their defense. I love to, and I was a big Fournette guy in the draft, and I was saying I thought that was the pick. Bludgeon people, throw off of play action, build up your offensive weaponry around the fact that you got a great defense that's probably going to win you 9 to 10 games just as is. So don't screw it up. I have nothing against Jacksonville, but watching Bortles, man, golly, it makes it hard. It just does. And you could hear it. You could hear Romo like, oh man.
Jim, you know what?
You got a wide open guy here on the post.
You wouldn't have a feud with Phil back in New York, and I could be winning a Super Bowl right now. We could have done this next year, man.
They could have. If Romo, yes. Yeah. I think that.
If only I had known, Jim.
Your agent should have told you, man. They got a loaded defense in Jacksonville. You just need to be average, Tony, and that thing is going to go humming. Hell, Jacksonville was better than average with Blake Bortles this year.
What old retired quarterback would have done better yesterday? And this is, again, knowing that Blake was one of the best quarterbacks for a 4 or 5 week stretch down the stretch run of the season. He was.
Smoke and mirrors, baby.
The same guy.
Smoke and mirrors.
Brett Favre would have done better yesterday, right?
I don't know. I mean, he's been removed for some time now. I don't know that Brett would have been better.
Kurt Warner? Yeah.
Probably.
If Kurt Warner, yes, then Brett Favre most certainly.
Brett throws too many damn picks, though. I don't know, man. I mean, the one thing you couldn't do.
Receivers were open.
Well, there's no doubt. Lots of them. Lots of moments there.
Like the overthrow when he's trying to get the right, touch on it when there's a defender between him and I think it was Fournette, whoever it was. I forgave that. But when I think it was the tight end released out and it was a short throw to the flat and he nukes it by 3 yards. There was no chance at that point.
I kept thinking of, I've got like 6 friends that are diehard Jacksonville fans, and I have a rule. I don't bother my friends if their teams are in a position to achieve, right? Like, because I know how I am when I'm watching the Bucs play a meaningful game. It's very rare, I know, but when they are. Like last year's team went 9-7, and they had a chance to get to the playoffs. And so down the stretch, we're watching these games, and it's a big to-do, especially when you've been rooting for an organization that hasn't achieved a lot. So when they get that chance, you get it. You're locked in. So I don't text these guys while it's going on because I'm also afraid of being the guy that chides in the middle of a stressful situation because I've been that guy before and inadvertently and then gotten a response where I'm like, oh, I clearly pissed that person off. I didn't mean to do that. I was just making an observation that this guy's crap. But they don't want to hear that right now.
That's the wrong
It's
time.
the wrong time.
I mean, that is...
Right. And you're reminded of that. You're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. He knows his quarterback is crap. That's why there's a hostile response.
He's trying to fight through it, man. He needs
support.
Channel all of his energy.
He doesn't need me to tell him what he already knows, that this quarterback is a flaming pile of garbage. So I didn't do it.
That's like, telling, somebody if they're having a rough day on the golf course, boy, it's not going your way.
Well, no, I've never been that way. I've never, beat you over the head with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I play together.
Back-to-back doubles, yeah.
You've never had a bad day and had me go, boy, Tommy, you just don't have it today, do you, buddy? I mean, I've never done that.
Yeah, just like that.
I've never done that.
Just to make me laugh, you've done that.
Oh, well, that would, yes, if I'm making you laugh, but that's intentionally.
Good T, Lizzie, what is wrong with you today?
What is going on out here today?
That one's out of bounds.
Good Lord. You go ahead and just drop up there. It's not the U.S. Open.
I'm well aware. No, I'm going to re-tee. And that's how that goes.
Yeah, but it's a
Grab
joke.
Another beer, and then it all gets friendly.
Yeah, but you laugh after a second. You laugh.
It takes about 40 seconds.
But I don't do that frequently. First of all, you don't have that many bad days. And B, I don't do it unless I know that it's absolutely required because you're about to be off the hinges.
Yeah.
When you're so mad that this would make you laugh, a moment of levity might cause you to...
well, that's the way it goes. So we'll have the cooler, right, when we go play.
Sure.
And I don't turn to the cooler unless we have designated as a day for fun.
Yeah, we're not worried about scores.
Or it's gone really bad. I will sip and play.
No, that's the right thing to do.
But I will go to the cooler. If things get unhinged, say, all right.
It's time.
It's time.
The cooler's there for a reason.
The cooler's there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try and hit it 180 down the middle. I'm going to hit 4-iron off the tee here. Hit it 3/4 4-iron.
The last time, and we'll go to break and begin the last hour momentarily because that's not a good tease. But the last time that I became unhinged, if you will, where I got so mad at golf that I did something that was uncharacteristic of me was the last time we played. I believe that's true.
Really? Do you want to out yourself for what you did? Because I don't remember.
Well, no, I'll do it during the break. But but I did something I wasn't proud of, and so when you're on a golf course, of course, there are other people.
Oh, that's right. You kicked that squirrel.
No,
I'm just kidding.
When you're on a golf course, there are other people.
Get you some of this.
Get you, squirrel. I can't hit it straight, so you got to pay. So when you're on a golf course, there are other people playing golf, and I attempt to be mindful of that as often as possible. I describe certain shots in certain ways. Oftentimes, they are colorful descriptions. And I have said some things.
Past the light spectrum that we can see, there are more colors than we can see and perceive.
And there are times that I have yelled things from the tee box or the fairway that people on that course probably didn't need to hear. Probably, or that were
local residents,
local
especially
that might be considered wildly inappropriate. I'm creative, and it's usually self-deprecating. There's shots I'm taking at myself, but in a very colorful way. I'm describing myself in such a way that others probably don't need to.
Right,
hear.
you're not taunting the local residents.
No.
I'm yelling. Sitting on the porch.
I'm yelling about me. That's all that is. By the way, John Elway got a vote.
Oh, hell yeah. He would have been better.
Come on. John Elway's like 65.
Look at Bortles' numbers. Unbelievable.
He had less than 100 yards passing.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the running stuff. I'm talking about
the running stuff is all he had. The running stuff is all he had. I'm not kidding when I tell you that I would have called, because you can't make it that obvious, I would have called pass plays and had him run. He is very athletic. He can run. Blake Bortles can run. He is.
How about Brad Johnson? Because he got beat up by the game pretty badly, but he is such a competitor and grinder.
Brad might be listening to me right now. Hello, Brad. I hope you're well.
He's such a competitor.
I love Brad, and Brad I'd like to consider a friend.
He'd be able to dump a screen in the flat, man.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Brad took a beat in the game, took a lot out of Brad.
I know it did.
I don't want to do, not Brad Johnson.
Okay.
Recently retired quarterbacks, who else? Would Jay Cutler have been better? He's not retired.
It's hard to know. He could have been worse.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, Cutler's either really good or really bad.
Yeah. Jeff Garcia.
No. Well.
Yeah, exactly. That says it all. Well, I mean, these are 3-yard throws. 3. And simple reads that he already knows how to. He knew how to read it. He was rattled by the moment, and then his mechanics failed him.
JB writes, you're right about the damn ref in that call on Mariota. Bizarre call. Panic does explain it. I know I am, JB. And then he says I'm wrong about Bortles, but he's a big Bortles guy and a huge Jacksonville fan, so he has to do that. He has to say
it's
that.
Not about the season performance. It's about yesterday. Who would have been better than Blake yesterday as a passer?
Yeah, he was terrible.
Just about anybody. Maybe Nance. Who knows?
Not Tyrod Taylor. Final hour, fourth coming. Stay with.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Now get $20 off your first month when you visit grasshopper.com/radio. That's grasshopper.com/radio.
Woohoo! Banditos!
Huh? Where?
Banditos burritos, baby.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities says 'tis the season to save energy and money. And that's why your own utilities says it's time to focus on those Energy Star appliances like clothes washers, dishwashers, refrigerators, and freezers, even pool pumps and water heaters. Rebates range from $40 to $300. AC and heat pump rebates go as high as $750. And when you buy Energy Star appliances, you save twice. You'll save when you get the rebate from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, and you'll save again on your utility bill, because it's a fact that Energy Star appliances use less energy than their non-Energy Star counterparts. So look for the Energy Star when you shop local for appliances this holiday season. Get all the Energy Star rebate details at talgov.com. Your own utilities. Click on products and services, and all will be revealed. 'Tis the season to save. Save energy and save money with the City of Tallahassee Utilities Energy Star rebates. You'll save with the rebate, and you save on your utility bill. Happy holidays from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities, and America's #1 public utility.
Ah, the perfect lunch spot. A nearly impossible find. Thankfully for Tallahassee, we have Metro Deli. A downtown gem for over 15 years, Metro Deli is locally owned and features the best deli meats, cheeses, breads, and ingredients in the city. Enjoy daily specials and soups, salads and wraps. There's something for everyone. Metro Deli offers online ordering for pickup or delivery and will cater your office breakfast or lunch too. Tallahassee's perfect lunch spot is Metro Deli. MetroDeliTally.com. That's MetroDeliTally.com.
Whether you're making updates to existing properties or building new construction, Lowe's has savings for pros during our Ready to Refresh event. Save up to $40 on American Standard toilets and save $10 on a Delta Brush Nickel 2-handle bath faucet, now just $39. Save yourself some time by ordering online at lowesforpros.com and pick it up at our Pro Desk. Faucet offer valid through 1/28/18. Toilet offer valid through 3/18/18. See store for details.
Running low on the stuff you need? Time for a Target run. We're here for all the big moments and the little ones too, like those New Year's goals. Get a free $5 gift card when you spend $40 on vitamins and nutrition for a healthy new you. Or hitting the gym for the 3rd time this week with Kind or RX bars, $5.99 a box. And natural cleaning products like Method dish soap on sale for $2.79. Get low prices on thousands of items today and every day. Target run and done. Pricing may vary. Restrictions may apply.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, the Bears, coming off one of the worst 3-season runs in franchise history, hired Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy as their new coach. He will be the play caller for QB Mitchell Trubisky as well. Nagy is well equipped to coach the young QB, believes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
He's extremely smart, extremely well prepared, extremely enthusiastic, and has learned at the feet of some of the very best as far as how to teach the quarterback position in the classroom, on the practice field, how to manage it during the games. He has been around people who have had a tremendous track record.
In the wake of an ESPN report detailing friction between Patriots coach Bill Belichick, QB Tom Brady, and owner Bob Kraft, Belichick said today he will absolutely be coaching the team in 2018. The college football season all comes down to this. Georgia-Alabama national championship game tonight. Crimson Tide has the #1 rushing defense in the country. Bulldogs have 2 of the nation's best tailbacks, Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. Coverage 6:30 Eastern ESPN Radio, 8 Eastern ESPN TV, and the ESPN app. The megacast on ESPNU featuring coaches Mike Gundy and David Cutcliffe.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Good Monday, everybody. Thanks for tuning to it. I hope you had a great weekend. Tonight, the national championship game, 8 p.m., Georgia and Alabama. Looking forward to it. Touch on it momentarily. By the way, we're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free. As always, you don't have to miss anything, but sometimes we all do, and that's why we post all 3 hours when the show concludes, both on iTunes and on our own website. You can email the show if you want. Plenty of great emails flowing in. jcs@970.espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter. It's at Jay Cameron Show and the WTSM app. Good for your mobile devices. And if you'd like, you could watch us perform our radio duties here on the YouTube. Go to ESPN Tallahassee. Type that in on YouTube. You'll find us. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you're all well. NFL football over the weekend. We were just talking about it. The Jags move on. Congratulations to Jaguar fans. Interesting officiating. That has been a discussion that has gone on over the first 2 hours. Not solely, of course. We do want to talk about the actual games. And we'll get a chance tomorrow and the next day to get a little more into that. But obviously we can look back on what happened over the weekend. And, man, I thought the most fascinating game was Atlanta, believe it or not. And I'll tell you why, because I did worry, and if you were pulling for L.A. and you wanted to see the Falcons lose, which I typically do, that the experience the Falcons have in these playoffs would show, and it certainly did.
Well, yeah, Goff looked like a deer in the headlights for much of the game on Saturday night. There's no doubt about that. But, I mean, good Lord, special teams. Yeah. A couple of short fields, those are default points, and what they do is they take so much more time off the clock. That was one thing you saw in most games this weekend, even the first half of yesterday's nightcap, is that there was just disparity in time of possession. A lot. I mean, teams touching 18, 20 minutes and a half. It just chokes the life out of a game. It completely changes momentum. It shrinks possessions, all of that stuff.
Well, I'm reminded, too, in the NFL playoffs a lot of times, and I'd like to go back and check on this number, but I think that's almost traditional. Like your teams, your good teams that have been there and done it, and they have a calmness about them. It's a stranglehold that they'll get on younger teams, and there's the squirreliness that comes from that when you don't have the ball and the pressure you feel to make something happen when you do, especially if you're a high-scoring team and that's your identity. The Rams' identity is that they light up the scoreboard. The longer that game went on where they were struggling to do that or didn't possess the ball, the more you sense that they were pressing and pressing and pressing.
Well, yeah, if you look at their production in terms of the minutes they had the ball and the possessions they had, it's right on pace, but you just don't have the ball. And that's where, I mean, I can recall way back when the Giants beat the Patriots. I believe it was the 18-0 year. If it wasn't, it was the next time they beat the Patriots. But Ted Ginn was the returner for the 49ers, and he was hurt for that game. And so when he wasn't in the game, the whoever the fill-in, he fumbled the ball, and the Giants get the ball, and it changes the course of the game itself. Right. And sometimes it's not the quarterback who gets it like Cam did, final possession with a chance to take the lead and beat New Orleans in the waning moments. Sometimes you just never get the ball. You don't get enough chances. And that's what's so brutal about football is that, especially in the NFL level, you know, your chances are so few that if you turn the ball over once, let alone twice on special teams, that can be everything and mean absolutely everything to your chances of coming away with a win.
Yeah, and you know, when we're talking about identities and playing in your comfort zone and so forth, one of the things, as much as we've talked about how bad the quarterback play was on both sides in that Jacksonville-Buffalo game, you know Jacksonville's really comfortable playing in low-scoring games where defense rules the day. That's their identity. That's what they do, and I would suspect that if they can muddy up the rest of these games, they will, and they'll have a chance if that's the case, because that defense is elite. It's a lot of fun to watch all those Knowles out there at the same time. And Telvin Smith is, it's almost like you see him. If he's not making the play, he's in on every play. He's around the ball on every play. And obviously, Jalen Ramsey's become the best corner in the league already in year 2, you could argue, if it's not Xavier Rhodes in Minnesota. So something to behold, what Florida State has done in producing DBs around the league and of an elite status.
Old Sassy throwing out barbs already today, aimed at Big Ben, because the last time they faced each other, there was the 5-interception game for Big Ben, and Sassy told the local folks in Jacksonville that, well, of course, I would figure he would want to play us, you know, again, because I thought he was contemplating retirement last time we played. So Jacksonville is not going to be afraid of the moment. They don't think that beating them in the regular season is a fluke. They think that they're going to roll up in there and do it their way, not a quiet way.
Sassy leads the way with that, man. And you want to, if that's who you are, if you're the guy that talks it, walks it, and delivers time and again, and it sets the tone for your defense, and people believe in you and buy in because you produce, then you can't shy away from that. If that's not who you are, it's exposed pretty quickly, and people know that that's false bravado. But it's not false bravado with that guy. He's so physically gifted. His ability to close at that size with that length and to deliver power when you tackle out on the edge, these are all things that very few corners possess in their entirety. He has every aspect of what you need, and what he's lacking in speed, which he's not the fastest corner in the league, he makes up for with the physicality. So I think when you look at him, as annoying as he would be to play against, you have to. If you're a Jags fan, he's probably your favorite player. I mean, I don't care if you're a Gator or a Cane or what. You probably that guy personifies cockiness in a way, though, that he comes through and produces on. It's amazing.
I mean, look at the defining play of the game. To me, it was 1st and goal at the 1 for Buffalo. And it's he on KB.
Well, first of all, they're throwing, which is ridiculous. But
right.
secondly,
Well, it's for the wrong reason for Buffalo, because they make a stupid choice. Tyrod makes a dumb choice, and the fact that was an option on that play.
Yeah.
KB should just stand there and not do anything. You've already taken Ramsey out of the play. He's physical around the line of scrimmage. That's fine. That's
he
a
gets
wash.
pushed off on and still makes a play.
Correct.
It's unbelievable.
That's the thing. It's not even a catch.
No.
Like KB uses his physicality. He's a bigger
Pushes
guy.
him off, yeah.
But then Ramsey gets right there. And so the specter of that guy on the edge being one-on-one, it's only going to grow over the next few years. He's only growing into his persona and his skill set. And then, of course, he ices the game when Peterman has to come in. And I was glad Peterman at least got a first down. If he came in and threw a pick on the first play, that would have been just so brutal.
Well, he barely got that first down on the run.
Yeah, he did. I'm just glad he got a first down.
Well, tonight's national championship game figures to be defensive dominated, and I would suggest that everybody buckle up. There will be hits tonight that are reminiscent of the golden age of football. I love the kind of slobber knocker that this game portends to be. Both want to run the ball. Both aren't going to put the game in the hands of their quarterbacks to win it. Quarterbacks will have to make plays. They're going to be your moments. You got to connect when you get your chances. But this is largely going to be what football often is, the ability to run the ball and stop the run. And these two offensive and defensive lines are all about that. These two teams' identities are about that. And I'm excited for one to see it. I think it's I know a lot of people, again, reference this as a glorified SEC championship game, and they have no interest in it. I get it if you're annoyed by all of that, especially what occurred 4 and 5 years ago, where the talk didn't necessarily equal the skill set and the talent of those teams, not named Alabama. But I don't mind it. I don't mind the fact that you have two teams that I think rightfully are in this game. I had no problem with Alabama making the playoff. I know a lot of people did.
No, I agree with you, and there's been enough variety, the last few years. If this happens, then it happens, but I don't feel cheated that Alabama's in this game. The Heartland certainly does, because those are pulling for Ohio State, those people, but no, to me, this is, it's one thing if you're watching a game that's 10-3 like yesterday with Jacksonville and Buffalo, and there are open receivers not being hit.
That's right.
It's another thing if it's stifling, and it's what they do, and defenses are taking things away. I think tonight's going to be kind of filed away in that column more than there are plays to be had, and guys just simply aren't making them.
Explosive plays for Georgia in the run game when they get opportunities. They got the two backs that can do that. If you don't fill, if you're not where you're supposed to be on defense, Georgia's two backs more than anybody else, I think, make you pay because they're so physically gifted. They're so strong, so fast, so big, all those things. So whether you're talking about Chubb or Michelle, both really good players. And I think when Georgia gets those chances, they got to make it happen. And I think you got to win first down enough times to not put too much pressure, on your quarterback who's a freshman. Alabama's going to try to dominate first down and start putting you in predictable situations. I don't think you want to turn to your freshman quarterback to make those throws against this defense. For Alabama, they're going to run the ball with their quarterback. They're going to run the ball with their running backs. They're going to try to brutalize you, win field position, wear you down. You think back to the way that Alabama won the game against Clemson. Once they got up, and obviously it stands to reason you can't turn the football over the way Clemson did, but when that happens, if they get a lead on you, they're smothering. They're a boa constrictor. That's what they are, and they're methodical. We saw it. Florida State in the game against Alabama had its chances in the first half and didn't make the most of it, didn't get a call, whatever you want to say. But once Alabama got a lead, and we remember Alabama didn't do a lot on offense. They had 5 straight possessions inside the 50 against Florida State. Florida State's defense rose up. They continued to try to make the quarterback beat him, and he really couldn't. But Alabama never felt threatened because we were not going to move the ball in that second half. It was quite clear, and you let them play ahead like that, they'll put your young quarterback in situations, any quarterback, but especially a young one, that he doesn't want to be in, where he'll eventually create the back-breaking turnover.
Yeah, again, I looked at the Jacksonville-Buffalo game yesterday just because there was another defensive game, and one thing that Buffalo did well was they flipped the field. Even when Jacksonville would assert field position dominance, Buffalo would do enough to get to the 40 or the 50-yard line and tilt the field back in the other direction. That's why this game was a game, because if you're looking at offense for offense against the challenge of facing a defense, Buffalo really, if they had better field position, who knows? Maybe Buffalo runs away with this thing by 10 points the way, and by 10 points would be a ton in that game. 2 possessions would have been like 50 the way that Bortles was playing.
Yeah.
That's why, again, in tonight's game, it matters so very much. I mean, you saw it against Clemson.
Yeah.
Those were 2 fairly evenly matched defenses. It gets lost in the final score, but those are 2 fairly evenly matched defenses in that game. And Georgia just needs to be able to not play from inside its own 25, 30-yard line all night long in order to have a fair fighting chance. But if Alabama can play the field position game, they're going to call the game to continue the field position dominance until you give in and make a mistake.
Until you break, until you make a mistake, until you begin to press. When you get out of your comfort zone, you watch it with them and the depth of talent and size and speed, and they just rely on it and fall back on it, and they don't because they've been there so frequently, and because their head coach is as smart and seasoned as he is. He's not going to indicate any sort of panic. They'll play their game.
I think the most interesting question, and you picked Alabama earlier, I took Georgia, but who knows? We won't be shocked if either team wins. Is that right? Would you be shocked if Georgia wins?
Oh, no, I wouldn't be shocked. Georgia's defense is good enough, and if they make a few plays in the run game to take pressure off from that they could. But I am picking Alabama, and I feel comfortable with that pick. I'm not happy about it, but I do think Alabama wins.
As you're figuring how this game is going to look, how much stock do you put into that little run towards the end of November, right? Where Auburn looks like the better team, but against Georgia and Alabama. And then you have Georgia unseat Auburn in the SEC title game after Auburn takes care of Alabama in the Iron Bowl. I mean, you could say after Georgia asserts itself in the second half of the SEC title game, if they had played Alabama the next week, you might like Georgia's chances against Alabama.
Yeah, the month off, I said before they faced Clemson, was the worst thing that could have happened to Clemson. I felt like Clemson was better than Alabama, Auburn was better than Alabama, Georgia was better than Alabama. I felt like a lot of teams, because Alabama was also not all that healthy. And that's a big deal. I mean, the talent that they were missing at key position, in particular linebacker, is a big deal. So
not much, I guess, would be the answer. You're not factoring in what they would look like towards the end of the regular season all that much, because now you're catching them in the flow again. This isn't 30 days to prepare for either side. You're catching them in the flow of a season, if you will. It's a short week or a regular week.
Yeah, no, I think all things being equal, I like Alabama's defense here to try to make Georgia one-dimensional, take away enough of the run game, and then I think, obviously now here, listen, the flip side of that is if you're a Georgia fan, you say, listen, obviously they want to do the same thing, make Jalen Hurts beat you throwing the football.
What a relief it is to not see Baker Mayfield, taking the snaps.
Yeah, the problem is Jalen Hurts has a ton of experience in these games, and he tends to play pretty well in these things. He's a more dynamic player, obviously, as a runner than Georgia has. So if that you're talking about an added dimension there that Georgia won't have from the quarterback position. So if you're doing that thing where all things are equal,
I'm just saying in terms of being prepared for tonight, I think Georgia naturally is more prepared defensively because of what it saw last week against Baker.
Figures to be a much different looking game. Baker in Oklahoma's offense.
It's a headache and a half.
Mm-hmm. And Alabama might feel a sense of relief not having to deal with, the kind of quarterback. I thought going in with Clemson, one of the things I was most impressed about this year was that Kelly Bryant was such a physical runner. He wasn't a great passer, but he was a physical runner. And I thought in many ways Clemson and Alabama were very similar because of it. And they know where Fromm's going to be, and I advantage Alabama for me in that sense. Both defenses have the advantage tonight, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
By the way, the question comes in from JB, and I think it's an interesting one. Is there even a sliver of a reason for us to pull for Georgia over Alabama in this game? As I said that I was. I'm not – This isn't a game where I'm on the edge of my couch. Come on, Georgia, got to do it. I've got enough friends that went to Georgia, including my buddy Corey, and we're close enough to Georgia that, I'm tired of seeing Alabama win championships. So that's really, more than anything, sort of the default factors that I'm pulling for them. But here's the question that he asks. I pulled for Clemson last year, but now I'm not so sure we, Knowles, needed that and definitely didn't need the repeating. Bama gets theirs either way. Now Georgia's ponying up to the table where we pretty much left a seat warm, and they're taking away recruits we should have, Justin Fields, James Cook, etc. I don't believe we need Georgia winning championships around here. Neither is good for us. Just don't want to invite somebody new to the table. Your thoughts? Well, Georgia was recruiting really well before they got here. I don't know that they're going to suddenly recruit any better than he already has this season with the early signing period and what he's been able to do. This is normally the push you get. It's the year 2 and 3 that you see the surge. I think this was going to happen anyhow with a new coach. And I think for the foreseeable future, one of the most interesting aspects about what we're going to be monitoring, as if you're looking at it from a Florida State-centric point of view, is – okay, so you just got done saying it. Everybody has to recruit against Alabama. They are obviously the giant. Georgia was going to continue, whether they win tonight, lose tonight, doesn't matter. I think Georgia, seat is at the table. It was coming no matter what. Dabo Swinney and Clemson have it rolling there. Venables, those guys, they have recruited exceptionally well. There are no signs that is going to change anytime soon. Now you ratchet up what's going on with Mark Richt down at Miami, what's happened, obviously, with the University of Florida firing McElwain, bringing in Dan Mullen, and Florida State moving on from Jimbo Fisher. All this does to me is reiterate the kind of fierce and intense battles we're going to be watching from now over the next 3 to 4 years. I felt like we were moving towards the 90s again. That maybe, just maybe, we'll have to see how it plays out. But the hiring of Willie Taggart at a time where you are going to have to ratchet up your recruiting and you are going to have to liven your brand or what you are, for lack of a better term, to me couldn't come at a better time. Because this was going the direction that we see now. It was going to happen no matter what. And I believe we would have been behind the 8 ball. I think things had grown stale here, and I don't believe Jimbo was going to get it back. Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Florida, Miami. If you want to throw a couple of others in that mix, that's fine. This was always going to be an outright war for players moving forward, and we were going to see something similar to what we saw in the 90s when Florida was at the top of their game, Florida State was at the top of their game, Miami was at the top of their game.
Yeah, short of Georgia going 8-4 in the regular season this year and losing to Florida inexplicably again or something like that.
Yeah,
they've arrived. They're here.
Yeah,
and they're just going to have to be one to contend with. I get it. You don't want to fortify Georgia's cause, but the kids that they have coming in right now, this class.
Well, that's what I mean. That class is already in place.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the Fields kid is a kid that, listen, he'd said yes to Georgia before Georgia got to the national championship game, and that was a guy that described in recruiting circles that if you got him, you could almost pencil in a national championship, that he was of that caliber. Now, there's a lot of things that have to happen for that to work out. I mean, obviously, guys got to stay healthy, and certain things got to fall your way, even when you got great players at the most important position on the field. But, Georgia was already in play for that moving forward. So I don't know that tonight makes a difference there. We tend to overrate, or so I'm told by people following recruiting, the actual championship, what it does for recruiting. The momentum gained by hiring a new coach is more significant than the championship a lot of times. And that's why you see the uptick in recruiting for coaches in their second year at a program when they're the new coach. And you see that really
as long as
the
they
board.
don't fall flat on their face, yeah.
As long as they don't fall flat, right? You got to win. You got to listen. That's the key here. It should go without saying, but yeah, maybe I need to reiterate that because McElwain didn't transition with a big season. He needed a big season. He won, but a lot of people looked at McElwain, even with the 10 wins, and said, "Come on, man." A lot of smoke and mirrors there. The East is way down. You haven't looked good doing it. You're an offensive guy. You got no offense. It didn't feel like there was real forward momentum despite that.
Right. If you're exciting and fun and you win 9 or 10 games here in 2018 with that schedule, look out for that recruiting class. That thing's going to be a top fiver.
I have a feeling it's going to be a top 5, or anyhow, is one I was really excited about, as long as he doesn't fall completely flat, like you said. Willie is a recruiter. We've already seen traces and moments of that sort of quiet leadership and connection that he has with people. I don't want to just say recruits, but people. I mean, in talking to him, I got that sense. The press conference revealed that. You look at each of his stops and listen to the things people say. He's a communicator. You want to listen to what he has to say. It's quiet, it's reserved, but there's something to it. There's something charismatic about it. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the
months. Learn more online at baranoac.com.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
Florida license number CAC 057652.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Does the winter have you missing some golf? Well, we miss it too. That's why we're happy to announce our friends at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill have decided to golf for a great cause. Join us Friday, January 19th for the second annual Corner Pocket Winter Classic. Tee time on Friday, January 19th is 11 a.m. with 10 a.m. registration at the golf club at Summerbrook. Individual golfers can sign up for $50 and foursomes for $200, with the event including contests, raffles, and prizes. This year's proceeds will benefit the Big Bend Community-Based Care, who specialize in helping local area foster teens. Support this worthy cause while hitting the links with us. The second annual Corner Pocket Winter Classic, Friday, January 19th, 11 a.m. at the golf club at Summerbrook. Sign up the day of the event or early by emailing cornerpocketevents@gmail.com. That's cornerpocketevents@gmail.com.
Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left!
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the Corner Pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
If you're a small business, first impressions can make all the difference. With Grasshopper, you get all the features of a professional business phone system on your mobile phone. Choose a business phone number, make calls, and send texts. Stay connected and work from anywhere with features like Wi-Fi calling and our desktop app. Set up your account in minutes with no long-term contracts and 24/7 customer support. Make your small business big. Now get $20 off your first month when you visit grasshopper.com/radio. That's grasshopper.com/radio.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Earlier, let's catch up on it here for those of you that hopped in the car. Surely you saw it over the weekend. Florida State wide receiver Auden Tate saying thank you. It's been a pleasure. Time to go. Auden Tate declaring for the NFL. Tom is downtrodden by it. Yeah, because he was going to have a really big year next year. I really think you'd begun to see the emergence of Auden Tate. And a real nice thank you that he posted. Said he was very thankful for a lot of things, but anyhow, he has decided to go to the NFL. Less endearing of a player also chose to take it on down the road in the form of Mr. McFadden. Don't have anything against him. I wish him well. I don't think he played very well or very hard this year. And that pissed me off at times. I'm just talking honestly here. He
I was bummed. I was legitimately bummed for about 10 minutes. It affected my mood when Auden said he wasn't coming back.
He's a gamer. He's tough, and he's really good, and I think he was only going to get better. And yeah, but I get it.
I just felt there was a little extra like bond, right? You know, you attach to some players for no reason. Like I'm not talking about interview-wise or access-wise, anything. It's just, man, I saw him when he was a freshman, and you look at the body type and you think, wow, potential. There's a lot of potential there. Why are we not getting him in? And then we bring him in for that play against Miami. He breaks his foot in the red zone. Golson missed him. And then I saw this year in the open practice, you know, the day it was the afternoon.
Oh, he looked much more seasoned and refined.
Yeah, it was the evening after media day, in which he seemed like he had command of that segment group. We were wondering, you know, it's not going to be Nooney. It could never have been Nooney.
No.
So Tate seemed like the answer in that regard. I thought, great. Okay, now how does he look? Well, he looked great because, remember, one of the early criticisms we had about Auden Tate.
Struggled to high point.
He didn't know how to use his body. He didn't know how to control his body, contort it, because it was a weapon to be used. And then flash forward to what he did this year, and, you know, with the bum shoulder, gutting it out in a lost season to continue to play and work hard for a true freshman quarterback. I mean, all the qualities, check between ability and you know, he's a character guy that you can build around. And, you know, to hear Ira say that it was probably the Dawsey firing, I wonder if Willie had known that Dugans was going to say no, would he have fired Lawrence Dawsey?
I think so. I think he would have. I think
if it brought Tate back, I mean,
you know, that's a short term sort of deal there. I understand it, but no, I think he would have moved on for a variety of reasons. But the point would be that I think that, you know, we're going to miss him.
I hear you. We have Tampa on lockdown anyway by having Willie, so you don't need to worry about Lawrence recruiting that area.
That's one of the reasons he did a poor job of recruiting the area as well. So that's another reason I would have moved on.
Man, it's just to see that ability get so refined in this offense. I mean, he has all the check marks, and he seemed to have a chemistry with James Blackman specifically, because James was good at getting the ball down the field and accurately down the field. Oh, what could have been Auden Tate's production in 2018, but good luck to him, man. Absolutely good luck to him.
Yeah, at 6'5", nearly 230 pounds, it's going to be interesting. He is ranked, according to WalterFootball.com, as the number 4 wide receiver in the 2018 class. He projects him somewhere, obviously, between the first and third round. I don't think he'll be a first-round draft pick by any means.
Unless his combine numbers shock even us, right? And we got to watch him every weekend.
I like him, though. I'm going to root for him. Hope he does well.
Damn it.
But, Yeah, so he and McFadden are moving it on. Florida State lost over the weekend in basketball. That seemed pretty easy to project. I did so on Friday of last week. Don't like being right when it involves Florida State losses, but it just seemed like a real tall task to get up emotionally on the road against Miami. I know you might think, what? That's a rival? And basketball never really feels like that great a rivalry, frankly, between these two programs. And secondarily, perhaps more importantly, I should say, that when you've had to get up for the road game in Cameron against Duke and you were tied at 92 and let it get away and then came back and won against the defending national champions in North Carolina by a point in a game that you had to hang on to late, it felt like it would be really difficult to get sky high for this matchup on a Sunday evening. And certainly the game started that way. Florida State came out really not playing good basketball. Miami was getting real easy looks, a lot of blow-bys, a lot of layups. The only thing keeping Florida State in it at the time was the fact that Miami was turning the basketball over quite a bit. And I thought, all right, well, you're going to give us a chance here to kind of get our sea legs, if you will, and maybe fight our way back in it. That really didn't happen. And then by the end of the half, you kind of thought, ooh, I don't know, 45-32 is doable, but going to have to play a lot better. And Florida State, to their credit, really exemplified what I think this team is and what this program's become. And one of the things that is admirable about why you like this team, why you root for this team, and why you invest in this team, and that is that they are fighters and they play together and they do play hard all the time, no matter the circumstance. So that wasn't going to go anywhere, and it didn't. And the next thing you knew, Florida State had a chance fighting their way back in after a considerable deficit, got it all the way to, 4 points? At one point, 5 points, 73-68, I think it was. Florida State, Miami missed the front end of a 1-and-1. Knowles came down there with a chance, and they also had created that turnover on the inbounds play, and missed a three there.
An Angola three, and then a Kamaje putback. I mean, those were two chances to get this thing down to one score and completely. I mean, the life was already sucked out of the building, but to put everybody on edge, and as poor as Miami shoots free throws as a team for the season entering that game, you like your chances. You feel like it's a 50-50 fight, even though you're down a possession.
Yeah, if you'd hit either one of the threes, Kofor misses one, Angola misses one off the steal there, that would have been a 1-point game at that point, and I think Miami may have just thrown it away at that point because they had a look on their face as if they were seeing ghosts for a moment when it got down to 5. And Florida State had a bounce in the step again. Miami was lacking some confidence there, but they missed that. And to the Canes' credit, they hit free throws down the stretch, which statistically speaking, you would not have guessed they would have done. But they do. They hit 7 of 8 over the last 45 seconds. When you make 7 of 8 and you're not a good free throw shooting team, that's what leads to an 80-74 win. So Florida State loses. Now they got to return home and get a win on Wednesday, and I think they will.
Sure. Florida State is capable of losing to just about anybody in the ACC. I mean, look at how NC State took care of Duke at home, right? And NC State was nothing coming into that game, and Duke is up 10 in the first half, and NC State goes on a monster run and takes it away. So you're capable of losing to anybody in conference, but the thing that I'm really buoyed by, that sounds negative, and I don't mean it to be, it's just how good the conference is. Georgia Tech could beat Miami by 10 at home. I mean, like crazy, right? But even, the Duke game, for most of it, you don't feel like they're not good enough in any game. You don't come away after the game saying, they just weren't good enough. No, they're plenty good enough in every game they've played this season to go toe-to-toe with anybody. And that's what's, in what should be a down year, losing all the guys we lost, that's NBA the case. Guys. Yes, that's the exciting thing about where we are. But this week, there's no doubt. If you want to live up to those kinds of expectations, take care of business on Wednesday, take care of business against the 2-3 on Saturday afternoon against Syracuse.
Yeah, they've been able to win all these games at home and give themselves wiggle room and margin for error. And that's the whole thing about a home winning streak like this is, A, you're comfortable playing here. You feel good that, hey, listen, if you just lost a road game, at least you get to come back to a place where you've played exceptionally well, where there's a confidence that's infused just by stepping foot on the court, and where, frankly, a home court advantage has been built. This is not a place that, traditionally speaking, admittedly, my rhetoric regarding you don't just come to the TLC Double C and expect to walk away with a victory was born out of a lark. It was me making fun of the fact that we weren't a traditional power in basketball, that the facility was garbage, that the atmosphere was empty, and it didn't feel like money. It was sterile. It didn't really feel like a place that opponents feared coming in. But it has slowly become a thing that I truly believe, which is that, A, they bettered the stadium somewhat, and it is a place now people are passionate about the program because they play a fun style and the kids give their all, so people have bought in. Plus, when you go through an entire season and don't lose a freaking game and you beat the likes of Duke and others, yes, Louisville and others, that's going to engender that. And that's what we've seen now. And so it's nice to have that to fall back on after you lose a game on a Sunday and you know you got a Wednesday home game, because you get that win, you get back to 500 in the conference. Right now, if you're looking at the ACC and you may be wondering to yourself, well, what does that do, Jeff? You know, I hate losing. Sure, they gave a great effort, but where are we at? Well, Florida State now is one of 7 teams that sit 1 and 2 in the ACC. There's 2 others that are just 1 and 1. One of them is the team you're going to be playing, Louisville, on Wednesday. So, you know, you got it. Georgia Tech's 1 and 1. There's a couple of teams that are 2 and 2 who you don't really believe in, Boston College, for example. And meanwhile, you look at the top of the conference. Virginia's 3 and 0. Yes, they're good. They're a top 5 team. Clemson's ranked because you'd have to rank them at 14 and 1. Do I think they're very good? No. Far cry better than where they've been, yes, but they're 3-0 in the ACC, which is hard to imagine. And Notre Dame is undefeated, top 25 team in the ACC. But Miami is 2 and 1. I think you got a log jam here. To me, Duke, who by the way is again probably the most talented team in the conference, is also a team that you've already watched them lose a game that they should.
Well, yeah, they lost to Boston College on the road.
So 1 and 2.
You know, they're 2 losses in conference, and we took them down to the end. I mean, yeah, this could be a year where, you need to get out the rule book for the ACC and take a look at all these scenarios for tying at 12 wins, because maybe 12 and 6 in conference, and there's 5 teams there, and you got to figure out who has the strength of record here, and there in order to claim the regular season title. That's the way it's trending right now. That's why, man. These games, like the one-on-one, you should win that game. You can't expect even to go. We're playing Boston College on the road later in the slate.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go up there and wholly expect to get a win. You should, but they could rise up on a given night. NC State could. We play them home and home this year.
Well, that's why I thought Miami would play well. They'd come off a loss. You got to protect your home court in ACC play, man. You got to do it. It's imperative. It's hard to get road wins. By the way, maybe too early to be looking at RPI, but I do it anyhow. Virginia has the number 2 ranked RPI in the country for where it stands. Duke is number 1. So the ACC has 1 and 2 in RPI. Meanwhile, if you're looking at a team like Georgia Tech, who's 8 and 7, not very good, who just beat Miami 1 and 1 in the ACC, 197th in the RPI. As for Florida State is 27th in the country in RPI. Stands to reason. You've played Florida on the road. You've played Duke on the road. You played North Carolina here. You played a top 15 Miami team on the road. Obviously, even your loss to Oklahoma State's not a bad loss. You got a win over a pretty good Rutgers team, by the way, who's proven themselves a little bit in the Big Ten. So you've done some things. It stands to reason that you'd have that. It's the ACC. You got a brutal schedule.
It's just so hard to know. Like, for example, I saw Minnesota lost its 4th game of the year already over the weekend. And when Miami beat them, we thought, wow, that's a huge win over Minnesota. And Michigan State lost over the weekend. I mean, the picture could be completely different in about 2 months' time as to who the real 20 teams, because 21 to 25, who cares? But who are your top 20 teams? Your 2 and 3 line seeds. We'll have a much better idea because the test is going to be, stiff for each conference over the next couple of months.
Well, looking around the country, it's already an interesting year for college basketball. You see Kansas and other teams that aren't the traditional dominant team that you suspect that they are going to be year in and year out. A lot of basketball to play. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
A truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
The last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with Easy Laundry Service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's Easy Laundry Service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
Running low on the stuff you need? Time for a Target run. We're here for all the big moments and the little ones too, like those New Year's goals. Get a free $5 gift card when you spend $40 on vitamins and nutrition for a healthy new you. Or hitting the gym for the third time this week with Kind or RX bars, $5.99 a box. And natural cleaning products like Method dish soap on sale for $2.79. Get low prices on thousands of items today and every day. Target run and done. Pricing may vary, restrictions may apply.
Derry's not like any town I've ever been in before.
Own the movie It on digital and Blu-ray.
My grandfather thinks this town is cursed. All the bad things that happen in this town are because of one thing. An evil thing.
A clown.
If we stick together, all of us will win.
Own the digital movie now and on Blu-ray January 9th. Rated R.
We all float down here.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9. Happy hour drink specials and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are coming in January to West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Out on the golf course, there are the obvious hazards. There's the pond, the bunker, the rough, the even rougher.
Yeah, put me down for an 8.
The giant maples, the row of houses out of bounds on the right, the angry flock of geese who've surrounded your ball, even the occasional groundskeeper you had no clue was there. But if you think you found every possible hazard out there, think again. The hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin, the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills 1 person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, the Bears, coming off one of the worst 3-season runs in franchise history, hired Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy as their new coach. He will be the play caller for QB Mitchell Trubisky as well. Nagy is well equipped to coach the young QB, believes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
He's extremely smart, extremely well prepared, extremely enthusiastic, and has learned at the feet of some of the very best as far as how to teach the quarterback position in the classroom, on the practice field, how to manage it during the games. He has been around people who have had a tremendous track record.
In the wake of an ESPN report detailing friction between Patriots coach Bill Belichick, QB Tom Brady, and owner Bob Kraft, Belichick said today he will absolutely be coaching the team in 2018. The college football season all comes down to this. Georgia-Alabama national championship game tonight. Crimson Tide has the #1 rushing defense in the country. Bulldogs have two of the nation's best tailbacks, Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. Coverage 6:30 Eastern ESPN Radio, 8 Eastern ESPN TV, and the ESPN app. The megacast on ESPNU featuring coaches Mike Gundy and David Cutcliffe.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Put it up on the Jeff Cameron Show before we sign off and go watch football tonight, just as you are.
Eventually. They'll kick off eventually.
Yeah, so what, is that it says 8, but are they kicking off later than 8?
My guess would be it'd be more like 20 after, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even when they list our home games for Saturday primetime, when we were good enough to have those, they'd say 8 o'clock, and then it would be 8:22 kick.
It'd be nice to welcome those back in the fold, huh?
Well, we're guaranteed one to open up the season on Labor Day night.
Tell you what, that was an odd experience this season, going through the myriad of noon games as an also ran, as if you were Wake, whom you narrowly defeated. I will welcome that back. By the way, before we get too deep into this real quick, I do want to remind you, you'll hear the PSA in the coming days, but always a great cause, and I wanted to begin the segment by reminding you that Roberts Elementary School is going to be hosting the 9th annual 2018 Trent Trot in honor of Trent McElroy. Trent was a 4th grader who lost his battle with cancer back in 2013, and so all proceeds from the race, I've run in this thing each of the last 4 years. Run is kind of running. I've run.
You finished the race.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But all of the money goes to Trent's Touch. It's a foundation which supports local families battling pediatric cancer. Everybody wants to help with that, as you should, and you guys are always, as I say, benevolent, kind, and giving of your time and money, have been over the years. So why don't you sign up? You can go to Facebook and just type in 2018 Trent Trot. It'll pop up and show you the ways that you can become a part of it. 5K is going to start on 8:30 a.m. at 8:30 a.m. This is all on the 27th of January at Roberts Elementary School, the 27th of January. So just put it on your calendar. Put it in your notes, whatever you're going to do. But obviously helping to try and eliminate childhood cancers is a good thing. Thought you guys should know about it. A lot of runners out there, man. A lot of people in a lot better shape than me out there willing to run in this thing. Which is
better than all of us. You know, the runners are crazy. Now, I know there's different types of shape to be in. You could be a power lifter and be in different kind of awesome shape. But it's something to see when people can look like they're sprinting for miles on end.
Well, in a 5K, you literally catch people sprinting the entirety of the 5K, which is insane to me. But okay. You know, like if you said, well, you got to sprint 100 yards. I got you. I could do that. I'll sprint 100 yards. Get much beyond 100 yards. Woo, about done here. So you got Georgia.
I do.
It's not just because you're wishing it to be so. You're picking them, and I'm picking Alabama, and yet wishing for Georgia to win.
No, I listen, if Alabama wins again, I'd say, well, Saban, you fooled me again, because I thought Clemson might win that game in round 1 of this year's playoffs. But I like what Georgia brings to the table on the ground game. It's physical enough to meet the challenge, I think, and especially when Alabama doesn't figure to score 30 points, I think that obviously it becomes the most dynamic thing on the field, does Georgia's ground game. The question is turnovers, field position, missed field goals. I think all of those matter greatly tonight because the points are going to be hard to come by. I'm excited to watch the game. I know a lot of people aren't, but I'm excited to watch the game, and I think the style is going to be fun. It's going to be physical. Listen, we always get 30 to 25, it feels like nowadays. So if this happens to be the game and that's the national title game, so what? Enjoy the fact that we got to watch Georgia and Oklahoma a week ago, and don't forget that too.
Which was awesome. All right, so let's get a score. You want a score? I said that earlier the race was 21. Scores ordinarily I leave out of this because it can be very arbitrary. Turnovers, special teams, blunders, things of that ilk really can radically alter a score. But I think that most people would look at this as somewhere in the neighborhood of 21-20, 21-17, 17-14, 24-21 if you want to push it. I don't think too many people are expecting, like a 34-28 type game. What would posit a number?
It's hard to keep it as low as I'm going to pick. It's hard to because of turnovers, short fields, and special teams and explosive plays. 17-10, Georgia. 17-10. We haven't had a low-scoring national title game in a while.
I think it's the type of game that you would enjoy, my friend, because that's a Georgia game, running the football, not making a freshman quarterback have to make too many plays, playing good defense. Yeah, shorten the game. I'm going to take Alabama to win 24-17.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what's funny about the look you just had on your face?
Mm-hmm.
When I said I got Alabama beating Georgia 24-17, it was almost like it struck you as, damn it, that's going to be the score.
I mean, it could very well be. No, I'm going against the grain and saying, because, I mean, even these Clemson-Alabama games in years past, you wouldn't have thought they'd touch, the 30s.
Well, those games turned into amazing games that were who had the ball last type performances for a stretch there. It was a matter of exhaustion for Alabama. With 90-plus plays on the field.
I think quietly, and you saw him get dressed down on the sidelines, I think, in a different way than his predecessor did. I don't know that Alabama's got a good offensive coordinator. Daboll doesn't look like he's getting it done the way that Saban wants him to, and at least Lane, when he gets yelled at, he could run 2 or 3 plays that are schemed wide the hell open every single game, and Daboll doesn't just, he doesn't look like the same kind of cat.
Lane struck me, too, as a guy who was willing to give it back. I mean, he wore him. But he'd shoot the look back and then call something and kind of give the stare, like, then you get you some of that right there.
Right.
Yeah, but Jimbo Fisher once talked about the temperament you have to have if you're the offensive coordinator for Nick Saban. And I enjoyed those conversations with Coach because you could glean insight as to the best coach, arguably the best coach of all time, and what he was like to deal with on game days, what he was like to deal with in practice, what he was like to deal with after games in the office and pre-game meetings, all of that stuff. And he said it was interesting that, Nick is a perfectionist at all times, and anything that goes wrong, you're going to hear about it, but you had to be able to wear it, move on, and then almost give a little back from time to time.
He respects that kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, and I don't know that your boy is that way.
Well, I think that might be the talking point. I mean, especially if it's to my prediction, they scored 10 points with a kid who's already been to the national title game last year, and they scored 30 whatever on the Clemson defense. I think that might be the talking point tomorrow is Alabama needs a new offensive coordinator, and soon.
1 year in?
Yeah. Oh, listen, the way the expectations are there, you have a defense that got healthy and did what it did to Clemson and will do, what it does to Georgia tonight, and you still lose the game. I mean, Lane was a godsend for that program that nobody talks about.
It's true, though, that a lot of people around here tonight will be pulling for Georgia, and it has less to do with disdain for Alabama and more to do with the fact that Kirby Smart went to school here, coached here.
And no doubt, footnote at the end of the show, I understand that Sark called the national title game last year, but it didn't matter. Lane had his system in there, and all you're doing is calling the script that was already made. It's different than this guy.
Good times. Enjoy the game. We'll be here to talk with you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Be well, everybody.